Warning, you got to rinse, wash, and repeat if necessary. Go.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
You got to take that down. Okay, we're going to use our fourth guest last, but as soon as Chad takes it down, welcome to the Golden Guys, just like the Golden Girls without all the sex appeal. And we're still around, and we're doing better than the Golden Girls. We hope Betty White is okay. Betty, you're with us. You are with us here. So here we are, the Golden Guys. We got Knights of Old over here. Mike, how we doing over there? Quarantine as well as I am over here. How are you doing? Yep, we celebrating just fine over here.
Seattle, all shut down. All shut down. We get Amazon delivery, so I got my drink. And
but I've got to take it a little easy for a while. I've got my.
I need a hairstyle.
Yeah, hats are definitely going to come out. But let's introduce DS before we get into the Wookiees that are going to come out for in about 10 weeks when everybody gets out of quarantine. Every female is going to look like Chewbacca, I swear to God. Let's bring in here DS Comics. How are you, buddy, man?
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing, guys? Yeah, I'm down on the East Coast, and where I'm at, there's not like a lot of quarantining. Their schools are closed for 2 weeks. Everything else is good. I went to Walmart tonight, and I mean, they pretty much had everything I needed. The paper goods were depleted, but everything else was there. And I think, it's not too crazy around where I'm at. Just schools are out, and people are doing a little of that social distancing, but not too bad.
Speaking of social distancing, everybody wants to know why we're together and apart together. But we got something here we want to bring about here, and I want to introduce this guy. Everyone wants to know who it is. I'm going to do that, but first I'm going to just say thank you to the 16 people who joined us in the chat here. I'm gonna run through the chat here while you get ready for our guy, and I want to just say a little about him real quickly. What I did is, or he did really. First and foremost, let's introduce the Great Legend Show. He's giving in here one of our Sophias. Everybody, don't forget him. If you watch that promo video, that is the legend in his prime doing that. That is him. Coming up next on there, we got Alex the Comic Hoarder. Excited to be here and celebrate with my favorite show on YouTube. Congratulations, fellas. Thank you. 1 year anniversary, Ricky, our favorite guy. Oh, Mr. Gretzky, 9966. I'm getting nervous here without not seeing somebody. Midwest Comic Man, good to hear him. He might be joining us later on if we got the Spinner Rack nights. We got the Spinner Rack going.
All right, I'm getting it spinned up.
We're gonna, when we do the Spinner Rack the second half hour or whenever we get to that, Paul will be joining us at that time. Chris Barrett. Now it's a show, everybody. We can't really do much without Chris Barrett here. Hey, everybody, Jay Salsa 23. What up, everyone? Legend, miss those rhymes. You drop on a dime. Ooh, we got a little fire here. Mac Daddy Austin 109. It's good to be on a good show. Hope you have all doing well. Hope you are too, Mac Daddy Austin. Best to you and your family. Cap and Comics. Howdy. Good hearing you here, Cap. C. Woodard, newsstand in the house right here. Hey, yo, Donnie. Hi, Donnie. That's Donnie. But we got John's Comics with kids here. John T. Jameson. My man Wolf himself. J-Mo. Man Cave Comics, very here. Excited. Look at that faucet cover right there. Look at that. Mastodon. Donnie, the one man. What we got next is Southern Comic Geeks. What up, folks? Showing that nice little new Avengers cover right there. David Finch, Wolverine there. Mac Daddy also 109 is back again. Thanks for helping me out that again. All right, we're ready to go. So let's introduce him. This guy writes the book on Golden Age comics-ish. So let's bring him on here right now. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the Golden Age Guru, our newest member of the Golden Guys.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on this show. I'm super excited to be here. I watch you guys. I love geeking out, and I don't get to do it too much from home because everybody in my area we don't communicate all together as a team, which is interesting. Everyone's very individual on Golden Age out here in this area. So it's nice to have at least some type of group to kind of dive deep, really,
Yeah, I that's a great point. And I think we kind of constructed this that way because I'm not going to go after some timelies, and I'm pretty sure DS is not going to go after some elephant covers unless he wants that Voodoo 11 or that Tales from the Crypt 32. And I'll be honest with you, Knights probably doesn't like the pre-code horror as much as you think. So anyway, we all don't compete each other in our own books, but it is a cutthroat business when you get into these golden, and when you get, especially on the boards. So, Mr. Guru, yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself for our fans who may or may not know who you are.
Oh man, okay, so I pretty much try to focus on anything old and gold. That's my thing, and just like you guys, golden age and older. You can most people know me from Comic Tom 101 on YouTube. You can also find me at Golden Age Guru on Instagram. But I'm just a big fan, man. I started off like a lot of other people. You begin with what you grow up with, and you kind of work your way back. And if you're in it long enough, you kind of get to a deeper level past the Silver Age, and which is completely different from the Golden Age, to be honest. Like it's very comfortable because you know the characters. Everyone's familiar with these characters, so it's very easy to fall into the Silver Age. But to make that step back just takes someone to really expose you to it, because a lot of times you don't even know these books. Like you'll go to a convention, you might look at an entire wall. There could be half of it could be Golden Age, but you don't even see it because you're so used to seeing what you know. And so for me, I've just gotten to that point, and I'm excited to be here with you guys as well, because I know we've all gotten there. And it's just another exciting thing about comics that I love, because there's so much to learn always with the Golden Age. You always learn something new.
That's absolutely correct. One of my favorite things about cons with going for shopping for Golden Age books, and I know these guys agree with that, is sometimes we're the lucky ones who find them in the bins, the best of the bunch. And that's the best thing about shopping Golden Age is you go through the boxes. Sometimes you got back wall books, and sometimes you got better books that are in the boxes than the back wall, especially at cons, especially with the young dealers.
That's true. That's true.
Young dealers, they always put the popular books on the back, but they don't. Well, I've never seen this before. Well, that's why.
And you can thank the guide for that too, because they don't make note of.
Thank you very much. Yes, and by the way, I mentioned a little bit before about that. You actually do help in writing some of the stuff for Overstreet, for Robert Overstreet's company, correct?
Yeah, every year I write an article for the Overstreet Price Guide, which I don't know if there's going to be any delays, but that should be out here for San Diego, and it's just fun, just keeping. Kind of talk about what's happening in the marketplace, what's going to happen, hopefully happen. Obviously, all that's kind of thrown awry right now, but it's just a fun way to really think back and what happened in that year, because the year always goes by so quickly. And I was kind of excited for Fox Publications this year. That was kind of my little bit of a write up, because I like Fox Publications a lot. And I was hoping for every year I've seen a little bit more of an increase. I was hoping that to continue and roll, but see what happens.
My favorite Fox, again, I'm biased, All Top, Rula, Zoot, Zagar. Those are my favorite four.
I see a jungle theme there.
Yeah, I'm going to pick up some at some point, some science comics, maybe some Mystery Man, some of the Wonder World. I think all three of those are Fox, and those are killer books. But man, I can't compete with the people out there that are they're going nuts the last couple of years. And I have to pick my spots and find one, but I definitely want one of those.
There's a lot of issues that
don't. Jimbo, how are you? Look, he's even got Camilla right there. You got Camilla right there. That's from Jungle. That's Jungle Comics. That's Camilla herself right there, taking out the alligator. Good to have her on there.
A lot of angry alligators back in that day.
Yeah, that's why they had the elephants to take care of them.
That's right. But I was saying with Fox really quick, man, there's some ones that are crazy prices, and there's a lot that you can still get into for really reasonable, especially in comparison. But I guess a lot of it falls into who the artist was, but man, there's a lot of them that are pretty fair.
I think the ones on my short list are all the Lou Fine covers.
Mm-hmm.
George Tuska has a couple that are really killer that I would go after. So, I'll find a good one. I don't usually do the upgrade game anymore. I wait and pick one big good DC book to keep forever or whatever, and that's it. So I'll just wait, pick my spots, and get a good one at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's Rula right there. What you got here? Alex Comicorda, he's got some looks like some Action Comic Superman going on there. Fox Publications also, the artist, a very unknown artist but very underappreciated, who is now getting some love. I hope somebody gave Joe Doolin a little bit of credit. One of the great artists who kind of gets wrapped up in the Jack Kamen, Matt Baker, maybe Joe Solardo category of that jungle stuff. But Joe Doolin did quite a bit on his own, and then he fell by the wayside so much that even when I talked to Don Rosa of the Don Rosa collection, who is a completist, never heard of Joe Doolin. I'm like, you probably had 6 or 7 of his own books, But That's what we're doing right there.
Fox made from like Victor Fox. Did he start
Yep,
that?
Victor A. Fox. Yep.
And he's an interesting fellow too. If you ever want to just look him up, that guy's got quite the history and quite the character. But the nice other thing about Fox is just a variety of everything. You know, it's not just one genre. They kind of hit on not just westerns, not just romance. They just have it all, and that's what I kind of like most about it.
The parallels between Fiction House and Fox were very rampant, especially during the mid 40s and the early 50s. They were actually competing with the same artists were doing both. So, you know, aGe and Fox, you know, Matt Ager and or Ingalls' shop, you know, could have been Grant, whoever was doing it. But these editors and everything else were just swapping back and forth. But great books that, like Golden Age Guru said, it absolutely spans everything. You've got, I'm trying to think of any Westerns in that. That was the only thing I couldn't think of was Westerns. By 51, 52, they probably went to the horror route anyway, most of it.
Yeah, like a lot. I'm sure.
Yeah. So, well, we're good. We're good having you on here. One of our favorite parts of our show is just show us anything you got this week. I got an AOK that I'm going to show with my good friend Steve that I got here. I'm going to show that. I'll show that in a little bit. I want to see my buddy Jeff. Do you have something you want to show? And I have a great book to show from my buddy Lewis. It's kind of appropriate for today. I'll show that in a little bit. Right, JD Joe Doolin was prolific. Very good, Jimbo. I agree with that. Joe Doolin, underrated guy. Thank you very much. Stacy's Fat Sex. Hey, Mastodon.
Let me take a look here. I mean, I've been pretty much hunkered in my bunker. You know, it's been hunkered in the bunker 2020 for me here. Like, I took it seriously early, so I've been here for like 4 weeks. I haven't been to the post office. I don't know if my stuff even just got sent back at this point, but I got to get out there. But I'm going to show some cool new stuff here that I got. It's just kind of fun. You know, this was cool. You don't get to see this too often, but I enjoyed it. It's a sports cover, but it's
That's awesome.
6-0. It's a cool sport. Let me get out of this plastic here.
Murder.
That's a pretty tough one too. I've seen maybe 2 of them, but I never saw one in that condition.
Yeah, and it's a white pager, which was just got it, and I was really excited. I don't know why I can't figure out this camera, but
No, it looks good. Right there.
you know, all true sports stories, and I don't know. They just got some. You just get surprised by some of these titles who have these covers, and some of them just shine. And this is just one of them. And it's a pretty random book, but I know there's been some strong private sales of this book. So when I had a chance to get it, I had to jump on it.
Is that a Street and Smith? Kind of has that.
It says, yeah, you're right. Street and Smith, 1946.
Nice.
And
Now I know, Jeff, you collect, but you also deal.
I do.
To me, that's like one of those slippery slopes that not every dealer wants to get in trouble like that. But I imagine, like, I mean, how do you separate the two, or
yeah, like I cannot live on selling comics because I am my own worst enemy. So I do keep a lot, and I put a lot towards comics. So if I find something I can buy and sell with margin, great. If it's something I actually own in my hands and I'm like, oh, wow, now that I have it, I'm attached to it, I'll keep it. But there's stuff that I've searched and wanted, and I finally get it, and then I'm like, oh, I don't really like it as much as I thought I would when I have it in hand, and I let it go. But like I said, I mean, I have a lot of books here. I'm really good at getting books. I am really good at finding comics, finding great value. I'm not great at pushing them out, and that's probably my biggest fault. And so I have a lot back that direction, and so I can't do it as a living. Like I said, I would just fail miserably, and I know that about myself. So I live on the con scene, man. I do cons. It's been a little tough here the last 6 months, but
yeah. What about Emerald City? Did they give you money back, or what happened with that?
I don't think anybody wants to give any money back anytime soon, and I think they just rescheduled. So I was supposed
to get a new date.
Yeah, it's actually on the same week, allegedly. I haven't confirmed it. Someone told me it's the same week as Chicago Wizard.
Well, that should be good because Wizards are usually pop culture, less comics anyway.
Chicago Wizard's a great Golden Age show, man. I love finding.
There's a lot of Golden Age guys in the area. That's why there's a lot of in the vicinity. One of the things is Planet Comic-Con did announce they're pushed it back to August, and it's like really sandwiched between a bunch of Midwest cons. So it could be a tour that I do. It could be a week-long tour where I go there, come back. TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson. There's Miami Lizard. That's my wife right there. Elizabeth herself. She's really in charge. But Camilla of the house. You have here TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson. Ooh, a guest star. I mean, but let's highlight TJ's chat again there.
Peter knows, man. Peter Comic Monster knows.
There you go. There it is. Ooh, a guest star. About time you got some eye candy on the show. You know, I take it absolutely. I resemble that remark. So there we go. So we got here. Peter Comic. Yeah, it's hard to get let the rare ones go. Yeah, when you
he knows. He's got a sick collection.
One of the things that we Jeff and I were talking about when doing this is a lot of times, like with me personally, a lot of the books that I have that people want, that people talk about, the non-Silver Age, the golden age ones, I tell them, like, well, there's only 2 on the census, and there they are. I mean, it's good to be the king, you know?
That's right.
You know? I tell them, you know, I got the highest grade and the lowest grade on the census, but I got the only grades on the census, and they're only a half point apart, and they're both 3 and 3.5. So, you know?
That's
so
awesome.
there you got Comics Misexplained. Jason, good having you here. Hope everything's going well for you where you are. Bonafide Comics. Oak City said they would give you a refund minus a $50 admin fee. Well, that's real nice for you. Maybe you can use their nice little flyer next time as a toilet paper, as those will be available real soon. I'm greedy in my old age. I want to keep everything. Agree with that, too. Here's the problem when you get old. Yeah, because we forget where we put things, though. So that's another problem I'm running into. I still can't find a book I've been looking for 3 weeks. But I want to shout something out to DS brought up there. He brought up some Dan Zolnowicz, one of my favorite artists, who's so unique in his drawing of faces that you can recognize his artwork on Jungles and Planets. And I think he did the first couple of Rangers or Wings. He did the first couple of Wings. He really is so distinct the way he drew the faces. And that's one of the things when I noticed later on that it was harder to tell the difference between Kamen and Baker as time went along, and Solardo, and before that, Joe Doolin. Was hard to tell the difference by the face, but Zolnowich's faces was there. Now, Baker, when he was doing romance, you could tell him in 30 seconds. You could look at that. And Baker, women in distress, he was really good at. So
who did this cover?
Sheena couldn't. What number?
It's an interesting face.
That face certainly looks like Dan Zolnowich's style with the face with the thing.
20, yeah.
20. That could be that. That's that face where the eyes are bent in and
very crazy in this.
Yeah, that's usually Dan Zolnowicz there. We'll look that one up there. Well, DS has been carrying the show for so long, JD, which is true. Which I do say. I said, this isn't my show. This is your show. This is our show. This is our kitchen. I'm just here to bring the cheesecake. I'm like, you know, I'm the old baddie in the back. You know, what's her name? Dorothy. I'm Dottie. So, all right.
It's St. Patrick's Day, right?
Yeah, it is St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing my Irish thing, not comic book gear, but I also had on before earlier my Rangers gear for my New York Rangers, who are taking a hiatus because apparently the NHL doesn't want the Rangers to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins anymore, according to Marilyn Mule or whatever. Anyway, so what we're going to go next is let's show some books. What else you got? We want to show anything else? I want to show this A-OK. I've been holding it for a while.
I want to ask one more dealer.
Yeah. Interview Jeff some questions. That's
I know it's, you know, I can kind of grok the whole like con scene just because I've been to so many cons. But some things that you guys do, and I know that you're really good at this because sometimes you're like, sorry, I'm on a plane or whatever. Like, I know that you like travel all over to like get to the collection first. But like, I always wonder, like, man, like, how do you do that? Like, then when you get there, like, do you feel obligated to spend, or like, what if they're like, do they take advantage of you, or like, I mean, just because it's not for sure yet, right? Until you go see it, you know. So
it's not for sure, man. Okay, so I'll tell you. I mean, like I said, I've done it for a long time. You guys have collected for a long time, but I've traveled for a lot of collections, and if you don't get specifics, there's really good chances that when you get there, you'll be disappointed. But it's also a race in time, because if you know about it, I'll tell you, there's a lot of other people who have an opportunity to know about it, and they're all very, very aggressive. I have missed out on plenty of great collections because I could not get there fast enough, or they said whatever they said to sweeten whatever the conversation. So like anything, It's a numbers game. You put yourself out there. You hope you get there. Sometimes you put yourself out. I've been burned, man. I went to somewhere deep in Indiana. I mean, I met with this guy at like some Bob's Big Boy, and he like bought me food. And then we got there, and he was like smoking in his garage with his comics. They stunk of cigarettes. He was super racist. Okay. I mean, I was just like in there, and I was like, I wanted to get out of there. And it was really an odd situation where I ended up driving through deep country, trying to find this place, found it, scared for my life, ended up buying nothing because his prices were crazy. All right. Despite what he told me, he's like, oh, you misheard. I was like, I was pretty clear. And then ended up buying nothing. And I just had to eat it, be like learning experience. Okay. Another time, restoration on a big collection all over the place.
Oh, a Golden Age?
Nope. This was Silver Age stuff.
Okay.
So yes, like you try to be out there as much as possible. You try to make as many connections as possible. Have a good what's the word? Not relationship, but make sure that people trust you, because then they're going to want to share you with other people who maybe have a collection and refer you. So that's been a big thing. Just being honest upfront, somebody someone trusts. And when you get a chance to go look at a collection, get the details out the way. Obviously, you don't want to give too many details sometimes because you don't want to like expose all the value. But you do want to know what's there. Send some pictures and be safe when you're going, and whatever that means. But just don't be dumb and have common sense. If it's meeting in a dark alley at 10, don't do it, or in a van down by the river. Like,
I've done it. I've done crazy shit. I mean, Golden Age Guru and I know couple of high end dealer guys back and forth. Some of the high end 5-figure or 6-figure book transfer private sale guys. And you guys know I broker a few of those here and there when I can. And one of the things that I will absolutely adhere to is that your integrity in comics is everything in Golden Age, because you screw a guy once, that will travel so fast through the wave lines, especially if you're already known and somebody else, where we've had auction houses. I've had a conversation with the guys that run the two big auction houses. Well, one guy was arguing with another guy at another auction house. I'm like, you guys are too good, too important to this community and too much to the Golden Age to fight over whether or not you knew or he knew or I knew or that guy knew or whoever knew that the book possibly might have had a detached centerfold. Question is, did you make amends or did you do what you did? And the question that I ask everybody when I do that is it worth the risk of your reputation for the one book at that time? That's the goose that killed the golden egg right there. Never worry about the one. Think of the many.
These dealers have a long history with each other, and this comic industry is far from where it used to be 20 years ago. So I know a lot of it was a little shadier, and I think a lot of people burned a lot of people, and some people can't get over it. I mean, there's some deep-rooted hate for some dealers to this day.
Yeah.
It's interesting they don't get over it. But it's just when you start hanging around and hearing stories, backhanded comments, you're just like, okay.
About 20 years ago, there was a collection. 15 years ago, there was a collection. Guys almost verified a pedigree because it was one big, huge lot. It had Silver Age there, but the Golden Ages were really nice. And then we got a chance to look at it in the New York area. And he was a well-known dealer at the time in the New York area about 20 years ago. Had a decent shop, but was more of the high end, had some art, real collector in New York, always at the Westchester cons, always there. And I'm not going to name his name, but he that entire collection that he did, that he dropped off and sold to somebody, he ruined it. He never came back to the business again. Every book was trimmed and or no color touch, just like what we call the micro trimming. And it was so common back then. This is pre-slabs, by the way. So there was no verification on this stuff for years. So his reputation really didn't slap him in the face until a couple of years later, when not one, not two, but over 100 people complained about every book got these purple labels with right down the side.
Jason Ewart scandal or whatever his name was.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't going to name names. We called them.
Well, I mean, I think everybody in the community either knows about it or should know about it.
We called them Squiggy. We used to call him Squiggy. And Squiggy was You know, he was one of those guys that you dealt with as he was. He was a difficult dealer. If you ever want to do travel the cons, I might see him once in a while. Some other people I've seen him at a few small cons, hotel cons, but it wasn't a good time. And it said, you know, rain falls on the just and unjust alike. So it hit us pretty good, but it hit him pretty good too. So.
Well, I'm not a dealer, but I mean, I've been in the golden age collecting market for, you know, a few years now, probably 4 to 5 years, something like that. So I'm still very new to golden age. But one thing I've definitely learned about myself as a collector is the only thing that is 100% deal breaker for me is people that are unethical with their books, or trying to trick buyers, or doing little things with their books. And that's a deal breaker for me. I mean, everybody else can do. Some people really are very pushy and aggressive. Some people are laid back. I don't really care about all that. Everybody's got their own personality, their own buying and selling, collecting style. That's all good. I have no issues. But there's still, this is in every industry, in every area of life, the people who are unethical with the books or try to get one over on people. That really leaves a bad taste in my mouth about the hobby. And, you know, when it comes to golden age, we're on a golden age show. It's a much smaller community, pretty much. It's not like in, you know, Silver Age collectors, Bronze Age, superhero, whatever. So this golden age stuff, you know, it happens all the time. You get a book, you show it to somebody, they're like, that's my old copy.
Exactly.
Routinely in the golden age, it's such a small world in the golden age hobby. And, you know, one person doing some unethical stuff with books, it can affect, you know, it can affect a lot of people because these books are getting passed around in a small community. So that's one thing I've learned in the last few years as a golden age collector. One thing I know about myself that bothers me the most. Excellent.
One of my experiences at C2E2 last year was when I was walking around, I saw Dale Roberts there, and Dale, yo, come here. And he goes, I said, anything new on the back wall? And he has all these Silver Ages usually and the Hulk 181s, but his real good stuff he usually keeps in the corner to the back over there. He's got his stuff close to the rack, which is your 181s and, you know, whatever, and all the common books right there. But then he's got this little side where he got those like obscure liberties and some punches and some good stuff. But then he gets, you know, that always on the top. And then he's one of those dealers that puts the publisher on each rack. He's one of the neatest. Like his booth is so neat that, like, if you ask him where like Planet 55 would be, he goes, "Oh, I have it. It's in P. It could be there, unless I didn't sell it yet, I don't think." And he keeps track of everything. That's one of those guys. But he turned around when I was there. I was walking with Paul, the Midwest Comic Man. I'm like, "You get anything new?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got this, this, and this." I looked over at a certain Golden Age book. I said, "Is that mine?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I thought it was a 6.0." He goes, "Yeah, I press it and clean it, slab." I don't ever open up or press my Golden Age. I just send them raw. You know, I press about 2 Golden Age books in my life, and I've got 2 long boxes full of raw books, at least. I don't know. Maybe I'd just say 2 full, and I've got looking at a whole short box there, just Jungle alone. So,
yeah, I think Golden Age books are pretty fun to press. They're pretty robust. And I don't know. It's almost like you worry less when you're pressing, unless it's really beat. And then you press one and you put it in the press, and then you're like, maybe I shouldn't have pressed that, but it's already in there and the heat's on. And you're like, then you just hope it comes out right. But Golden Age books are pretty robust to press. I've learned just in the short time I've been doing it. You press too, Jeff. I don't know what you think about that.
I love dealing with Golden Age books for pressing over Silver Age, Bronze, Copper. I mean, like, it's so easy to mess that up in comparison.
Yeah.
So thick in and out. The colors are just better. And outside of just, you know, outside of like the aging of maybe rusty staples or whatever, the things that could get messed up when you press, if it's just a solid book, oh man, I'd rather press those books all day, handle them and press them, because if I just have a book that's Copper Age alone and I turn too quick and the cover comes up and hits my thumb, I know I got a thumb crease. There's like, I don't even have to look at it. But I know
Golden Age are like stacks of cardboard and they're thick, and as long as the staples are solid and the spine's not tore up, man, you can be pretty loose with them. They hold up. They're robust.
Yeah, same with dry cleaning. You can dry clean them pretty darn well. I mean,
I have cleaned my books. I clean them when I first get them. I spray Lysol all over them now, cover them in Purell, first. Get them covered in Perel. All the new comic books are first. They're put in Perel, covered with Lysol, and then after they disintegrate, I realized I shouldn't have done that. But I do want to show this aOK. I want to go over this.
Wait a minute. I've been trying to ask him a question. You said interview him, and then
okay. Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
All right. This is a 3-parter, so that I can put my one question in for the next 20 minutes. So it's going to be regionally at the dealer level or the setup level or whatever, small time dealer, whatever. You travel a lot, so I think you might know this. So, what is the regional differences between the West Coast, Mid, and East Coast, if there is any, between 1, dealers, 2, like fines, like because I've often heard there's more fines, barn fines and whatever in like Ohio or whatever, or like New York's all picked through, blah blah blah, and also collectors, like what is there a difference regionally in cons, like the big collectors will just like boom drop books or like super cheap or whatever, like just curious if you had anything to say about that.
Yeah, so I can answer all this pretty well. So for collections, I find the most activity and the biggest collections are not on the West Coast for me that I find. I mean, I have found a couple, but the majority are going to be towards more the East. So it's hard to get there first because there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of competition everywhere, it feels like these days, but especially the East Coast. You got all the big companies over there and a lot of people. But I do find that when you go to East Coast conventions, you see that the amount of books they have and the pricing they have is lower than it is on the West Coast for just copper stuff, even bronze books. They have that in such mass and quantity out there that over here it's different. We just don't have it like that. So the prices seem to be higher over here for West Coast dealers and West Coast stores. You go to the East Coast, it just seems like they're more trying to push stuff out and get things here and out. So for me, I just find that more collections are on the East Coast consistently. Obviously, you got to have the occasional here and there, whatever. But definitely the West Coast is tough. Dealer wise, you were asking. Okay, so buyers, let's say on the East Coast versus the West. I find that when it comes to big books, it's a lot of big buyers prefer to just deal with people they've dealt with. So they have their people they go to. I could be set up with a great booth and have my books, and they could just walk right by and never even look. And that happens a lot. If you don't have a good, like consistent 3, 4, 5 years at a convention, and you're just showing up as a dealer, you're most likely not going to get noticed by a lot of these bigger guys unless it's by chance or you call them.
And what number is big? The entry big. 10 grand.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we're talking like real books. These guys are generally looking real scarce books or high grade books. I mean, obviously there's $5,000 too, but again, it's regardless. If they're not looking at you, they're just not looking at you. So it helps to do a show 3, 4, 5 years to really get yourself established in there. And same with seeing other dealers before conventions. If you are showing up to a regional show for the very first time, trying to pick before the con opens, good freaking luck. If they don't know you, they will let every other person have them before you. You can try to sweet talk them, whatever. And trust me, I've tried it all getting into these cons in the beginning. And so I have to go like 3, 4, 5 years, same thing. Hey, remember me? I spent some money with you. Can I look? Because that's also competitive. I mean, you're at a con, man. You got all the greats are out there. Harley's at like 5 cons a week. I don't even know how that guy does it. He has more floor space than anybody. Somehow, I don't know, man. That guy moves faster than anybody who doesn't look like they can move. And then, you have everybody else, and they're all smart. They all get it. It used to be you could be ahead of the game, but I think the last 5 years, everybody's kind of gotten on their game and used to poo-poo bronze. Everyone used to poo-poo bronze and copper keys. Bronze, now they're like, you can't. Yeah, bronze especially. So I've seen a big change in that. But yes, East Coast, yeah, good buyers out there. But if they don't know you, they like to stick with who they know.
And the dealers, like, would you say, are they more I don't know, aggressive, more deep pockets on the East, or
The dealers?
yeah.
I think some of the biggest dealers are not on the West Coast. So yeah, I would.
Yeah, well, some are in Texas. There's a few in Texas that have some money.
They do, but I mean, that would be, is that considered West Coast? Central?
No, for West Coast dealers,
I don't, I mean, I know people who spend money, but like I'm talking like do all the cons too.
no,
Huge
Holy
collections, have a good reputation.
Rich. Yeah.
I mean, you got Jamie Newbold.
But,
But-
I was gonna say Jamie, and then there's a what?
think
No,
of
they're
one.
Dallas too, right? Isn't Sharon and Steve are in Dallas from Worldwide.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, so wide, yeah. But like you got like the Reese's are. Where are the Reese's?
scattered.
They're close to. They're in Maryland, I think. Like Frederick,
Yeah,
Maryland.
They're in Maryland.
Rockville.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you name a lot of the bigger guys. I mean, Reese's. You got Tomorrow's Treasures. I think they're in Florida.
Yep.
He does a lot. Nerdy Girl. She's in Florida.
Yeah.
And,
You have some people in Arizona.
Metropolis.
Vince and no shoot wearing, no shoes, no socks wear. Vince is the old guy. They run that whole con. David Adams.
David,
They're in New York State.
They're the New York / Connecticut, Boston. They always do Boston cons. I first met them in Boston cons years ago, but not that many years ago. They're
All right,
kind of-
last
Danny
question.
Graham. I mean, he's kind of got the
Oh, yeah,
central covered.
Yeah.
He's got like 11 stores in
Anthony Snyder,
Anthony Snyder.
New Jersey.
For these big dealers, what percentage would you say? Not like you would know this. I don't know. It's probably too personal, maybe. But I'm curious, like, how much their stock. Do the majority of them own it all? Do they sometimes like, oh, I need this collection, so I'm gonna let it's a business. I'm gonna take out a business loan, get this collection. Like, what do you think is the norm there?
Oh yeah, Alan at Heroes. Good call, Pete Monster too. Heroes on the West Coast. I know exactly that percentage. It's actually 23.4% of them. And no, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. But, so that's a good question. I know some of them leverage. Some people used to leverage themselves pretty heavily, and I know they've gotten caught here and there. Don't really want to get into names of who, but
Yeah.
But there are some, and a lot of people take consignments right now. So not a lot of them are going to be always their books. I don't know if
But I mean,
percentage.
like some of them, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, guys like yourself, when all of a sudden out of the blue, a huge collection comes out, not everyone has like 100,000 to just drop cash to someone. You're going to have to take out a business loan or something, or do something, or is that just the thing? Like, if you really want to be a competitive dealer, you just got to build up that huge like reserve of cash ready, or
Absolutely, you do. You have to be ready to go, just like when you're buying a house or anything. You have
well,
to be
yeah,
ready to go at the time, because you can get partial finance for a house, but at some point you got to have a portion of it.
yeah.
So for comics, if you're ready to go, then the sooner the better, because somebody else is. Now, cash versus check or PayPal, that's dependent on the person. Some people can get away with just writing a check, or some companies keep it very clean. It's check only, but a lot of people want that cash because why. And so yes, if you can store that somehow, or be able to liquidate books quickly at some point, because to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people I know, they have that cash ready sitting somewhere.
I'll reiterate this, as I have held the suitcases and gone to places, gone to people's houses for people, negotiated. I've met people in parking lots with bags. And I mean, it's just like you'd think it would be if you were dealing in narcotics. There's no other way around it, because if you think about it, these things are to us. Let's be honest, they are. We'll spend more on this than we would on a nice, whatever you're into now. Whatever the kids are into today. What are they doing nowadays? what's the new drug called? Okay, Boomer. That's a new drug, right? All right. So what do we got? I want to read this note first. This is an amazing. I haven't opened it up yet. I still haven't opened it up. It says, "Hope you like it. I hope you like it, JD. Found this hunting in Miami with Hialeah. Hialeah Comic Bro, always great to have you around too. Can't wait to meet you at MegaCon. You know what? I know MegaCon's canceled, but JD's not canceled, and I'm going to go to Orlando anyway. So I'm going to shout out to anybody down there. I'm going to talk to if I can't get the room that we already had, I'll figure something else out. But I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to meet everybody. I know it's all there, but he sent me this, and it's from Stone Cold Steve Whiting. So thank you very much, Stone Cold Steve Whiting. Let's figure out what he got me. He said, open it on the Golden Guys. So I assume this is not going to be a Turok 1. Shout out to Comic Tom's coasters right there.
You gotta get the gold foil one.
Oh yeah, I bought the new variant one, the one that came out a couple of years ago in variant. I got the Virgin variant, and I said this is a classic here. So we're gonna open it up, and it is a. Oh damn! All right, let's show it. 8-0.
Oh wow!
Famous funnies from 1952. Cream to off-white pages, number 201, August 52. In a spot like this, and he thinks about a camera shot. Look at the elephant posing, smiling for the camera as he's getting shot. Look at this. This is great. This is funny. What a shot. This guy's got a camera. Famous Funnies, if you don't know, is absolutely one of the is the Eastern ANC, which this is where Frazetta comes from. So a little shout out. Frazetta started it all right here. Yes, that's good. There it is. I'll show it again. Famous Funny again. Shout out to Steve Whiting, everybody. This is why we love this community. Somebody finds an elephant cover in 8-0 from 1952, which is ridiculous. In gold. So I'm very thankful and kind of overwhelmed right now, and
it's awesome.
Really excited for this. Thank you guys very much. I'm gonna find out who the author is. I'm gonna find out who the artist is. That is gonna be one of my goals. It's not listed here, but one of my favorite things to do ever in the golden age is I make a lot of them accurate on here. I'm one of those guys that constantly are in communication. I have a stack of folders. I ship them. They're probably Brittany. I'm sorry, but I have to call every time. I'm just gonna say right now, I have to do it because it's integrity, and I want to help you guys out as best I can. Some of us have resources, and some of us do a lot of research on a particular book, especially if we're buying it that you may not have the time to do it. So we enjoy doing it on our behalf. You could always put on the back there my name, Golden Guys. Tune in Tuesday nights if you wish. There you go. So everybody, I can't be any more excited than this. And Jeff is going to be a regular from time to time on the show. He's got an open invitation. We have a Sophia, another Sophia. So it's always good that we have us here. We're going to keep this going. We have a special segment here. We're going to bring in our buddy Paul, Midwest Comic Man, as well. We promised we'd show him now. Hang on. Let us know when he's ready. He'll let us know when he's ready. He's got to put on his mask. He's got to put on his gas mask. Hang on. By the way, Paul's got great hockey flow for not a hockey player. So anyway, we're in our next segment of the show. First, we'll introduce Paul. Paul, how are you? He's a little quiet today, but that's all right.
Mike was muted. I'm trying to maintain my separation.
Right. Okay. Good. That's good. You social distancing by way of the camera. 6 feet away, please. So tell us a little bit, Paul. First, did you want to have a question for Jeff while you're here?
I don't know. I just got here, man.
Oh, that's true. We're gonna do the spinner rack portion of the show. If you don't know what the spinner rack portion of the show is, this is our signature favorite moment. It's actually the one where we get to be little kids. It's Tuesday night. It's before we're about to hit the new comic book day, but instead of it being 2020 and Armageddon going on, what we have going on, it's 1938 and World War II is about to start. Something bad's going to go on. So we're going to start from 1938 and go all the way up to 1955. I like to go to 56. So does Knights. What do you think?
55 usually, but
yeah. Sometimes 56, I'll throw it in there.
If it's got the stamp on it, I'm out.
I know. I disagree with that because
I'm crazy though. Even when I see a book that's cool and it's like late 55 or early 56, and I'm like, man, I really like that book, and I'm like, but it's got the stamp, I can't buy it. I'm so OCD about that now. It's really insane. I understand. But.
Here we are. We're going there. We're going to show you what books to look out if you were going back in time from today. If you were in your Doctor Who time machine, or you went back and you went 88 miles per hour in a crappy DeLorean with Michael J. Fox. this is what you would find on your rack the next morning, probably in that condition too, knowing some of the shops back then. But there we go. The first one up there, Knights, take it from here.
All right, yeah. So this, Jeff. Well, you've seen the show, so I grabbed just some interesting books. I might miss. I'm sure I miss a lot of cool ones, but I just grabbed the ones that I know of or ones that I think are interesting, and from each week. And this is about the first 2 weeks of March, so we're a little behind. But here's 1938. This is a nice adventure comics. I don't see that very often.
No, that's pretty hard to find. That's almost as bad as 34.
Any week we start with a Craig Flessel cover is a good week.
And that's New Adventures, right? That's 25, right?
Yeah, New Adventures. Yep.
Adventures starts, I think, at 32. Yeah.
32,
and I think is it the next one that has the ad for Action Comics 1 in the cover, in the inside cover?
I want to say it is 26, but
it sounds about right. It's certainly the right time frame.
And a great Flessel cover. And Paul, by the way, Golden Age Guru, Paul is our artist spotlight. He does artist spotlight shows on the Comic Core where he goes into, and he's done of the Golden Age, Baker, Flessel. I mean, you could go through them. Pretty much, we're almost. I don't know who we're doing. We're doing Wrightson next, but I don't know who you got going on. He does a show where he goes into the art and goes detail for a full, sometimes 30 minutes to a half hour to an hour on the work, the history of the artist, where he got started, the style, the books he focused in on, the editors he worked with, the lining techniques. Paul is an artist himself, so we get a nice little inside look on how the Golden Age artists did what they did, and it's probably one of the best segments. And if you ever get a chance, the Fran Frazetta one literally brings tears to eyes. It's that good.
Oh man, I like the deep dive. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Here's the moving the night 39. Got a nice early action before Superman was on every cover.
Yep.
I'm not sure of the artist on this guy, but these like the last one and this one, I mean, I don't see this stuff very often. I'm not sure. Like Jeff, I'd love to hear you chime in on some of the like rarity of some of this stuff, because I know you've seen probably more than most of us. But
I mean, those new adventure books are tough. Actions seem to see more than the new adventure stuff. It's a year difference, but it seems like it makes a world of difference on it. And those new adventures are just fun to see.
here's a All-American #1. So 16 issues later, Green Lantern's first appearance appears in this book. But yeah, I wouldn't spec on this yet.
No, I'm not specking on that one.
Centaur.
Centaur.
Love the Centaurs.
Not sure who the artist is on this guy.
I have on my glasses. I can't tell on that.
Here we go.
You know who this is.
There we go. Historical significance.
Yeah.
Big Fox here picking a winner right here, man.
One of the first ones to get sued, right? For being too much like Superman. And then we were just looking in DS's video on the new Comic Connect auction that's coming up.
Yep.
They have a Action 10 that says court copy. And I'm guessing that is from the court case regarding this.
Would it be what Action 10?
Yeah, Action 10.
Yeah, because Fawcett wouldn't have come out yet. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I remember in Comic Book Marketplace, they did an article about the whole lawsuit and everything. And they had some guy on who had gotten about 2 or 3 pages of the original art for issue 2, which was, of course, never done.
That's cool.
Yeah, because Eisner and Iger Studios did this one, right? They created the character for him, and then I think the art was Eisner. Yeah, and then they had to go to court, and they straight up allegedly said that yes, this is based on Superman.
They said Victor Fox came into my office, plopped down a copy of Action 1, and said, "Copy this."
That's right.
That's Victor.
Here's a nice cover.
I like that one.
So it's
Not Flessel. I can't remember.
That's not Flessel. Is that Guardier?
That looks like it might be
Sounds
Gardner.
like it. Yeah, could be.
Gardner did a lot of pirate stuff.
Yeah, and I gotta put on my glasses when I do this, and I shine.
Here's very early Timely when they're still somewhat pulpish looking.
I like those better.
I love that book.
You might want to spec. This is a good spec. You might want to grab a couple extra copies of this guy in case this Robin might be something cool, but maybe he'll die in the next issue. Who knows?
I might wait for the next one. I heard there's somebody called Punchline coming out on the next one.
I might wait for the trade to read it first.
Imagine this. Oh, we're getting into that way. You go back.
Well,
You got was that
early fight.
very early fight? Is that Matt's Maurice Whitman, right?
That might be fine too.
I was going to say Lou Fine did the first 6 fights. So is that
That's
number
the
9?
Eisner cover right there.
That's Eisner then. Yeah, it's Eisner, then Lou Fine, and then we get into the everybody else.
But I like these early fights, where they don't have the whole they kind of get this like pattern going later on where it's like the same old thing. I mean, they're great, but these are really like they're being creative and kind of just reaching for anything. Let's see. This was weird. I don't think I've ever seen this book.
Ooh, that's what I'm going to look for. Hyper Comic,
adventure romance,
Hyper Mystery Comics.
64 pager. We got to find that. Looks. Wait a minute. What publisher would that?
I was
be?
just going to say I don't even know who
I
published
don't
it.
know.
I'm trying to think.
It
Yeah.
just
I've seen it a couple times. I have, and I'm just trying to recall. I don't want to.
I mean, most of the publishers had like a stock style, and that doesn't really fit any of them.
It looks like a police story from the logo down, but the logo up looks modern.
It reminds me of the Smash comics. Whoever did that.
The publisher was Hyper Publications.
Well, talk about originality right there. There you
Hot,
go,
hot. It's a number 1, so you might as well grab 5 copies.
Yeah, that's it. There might be a variant or two.
I think I know someone who has
Come on,
this.
we're in the golden age. You got to start it at number 5 and then go up to number 12 and then
Yeah,
start
so
at
here's
number
in
2.
order.
And then
5, 32, 16, and 15. Get your back straight. That's how the golden age works. And
This is a
only
cool
19.
Schomburg. Great Schomburg. It's his second Human Torch cover. And I used to have this and kind of regret selling it because it's kind of a pain to find, especially without that little text box on the right side. To find it without that being cut off is really hard.
shit, that might qualify as a Frogman cover. I may have to add that to my list.
Well, good luck.
What do you
And I
think?
like her helmet. She's kind of sci-fi-ish, like she was, I don't know, traveling with Doctor Who or something, and
Hey, I need
accidentally ended up in 1930s New York.
It's a bit of a stylistic
What do you
mishmash.
think was happening with that thing? Is he like letting water in, letting water out? Like, when you got swimsuits on, like, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to like, what's
I
that?
know.
You're wearing
Yeah,
it.
usually that stuff has got good labeling. Like it's all bought from the Acme company, and it all well labeled.
And what's the point of bringing the water in? She's got a helmet on too.
Yeah,
She's safe.
I'm not. Maybe they're protecting themselves from him.
yeah.
Well,
Maybe
you know,
George
that was back then. Oh boy, Action 13. Oh, I'm sorry. What did that comic do?
Yeah, some of the art was. They didn't really develop their craftsmanship too well.
and it's a 15 center. So on top of that,
Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah.
I'm not paying that. I'm not buying that one. You Richies can have that one. I only have my dimes with me. So.
I don't see it. I don't really see
I
it.
wondered if it was double size
By
or
the way,
something.
what year are we in?
We are in 1940.
1940.
If it's 1940, that's got to be a double size for 15 cents.
I mean, it might be a Canadian, right? Didn't some of the Canadians were 15 cents?
Yes, yeah. I was going to say they are. A lot of the Canadian whites were 15 centers. That's not a Canadian white.
Well, I mean, in the 1940, they were still experimenting on some wacky stuff, formats here and there. They had those like little tiny, those like small mini size ones. I don't know if that was 40 or not, but
And then you had nickel comics, which were
Yeah.
half the pages.
yeah, this is giant size, giant thrill. So it might be that.
world's biggest comic book, it says.
Yeah, it's probably 128 pager or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
the 64. Put it together. Drek.
Maybe Stan Lee
That
read
looks
this.
like Drek. I'm not buying it. Next.
There we go.
We're fine.
Now we're talking.
And the what did you call this? These types of villains, DS, at one point, the yellow or
Yellow
Well, in
Peril.
the Pulp world, they're considered like Yellow Fever, I think, or Yellow Menace. Yellow Menace.
I've always heard it Yellow Peril.
Yeah, Yellow Menace, Yellow Peril. I think it comes mainly from the pulp lingo and some of these early 40s comics that have them. I just use that terminology for it.
Yeah, and Pulp's getting to be another rabbit hole for me.
Uh-oh.
I gotta pull out. I gotta pull out,
Good
man.
idea, Ken.
Yeah, I've got
Oh,
I had a few.
Here's a pretty cool early Pep, early let's see, was this
Shield.
before Cap? This
Right.
was
Shield.
Yeah.
I think Cap.
Cap came out, I think, December 41.
Yeah, Cap came out in December, so this is before Cap. So
Well, Cap is listed as December 41 on the book, but
well, no, it came out December 40.
40, right?
Yeah, but this is March 40.
Oh, it's
So
March. Okay, we're in March, right?
see, they didn't have the guts to put the Nazi swastika on the tank. You know, that would have been so much cooler if they did.
Yeah, it just has
It's a very early one, yeah. But it's in the U.S. Capitol too. Wow.
Here's a great
I
planet.
love riveted planets.
This
Speed.
one is really strange.
Is this early Black Knight appearance?
Not Dane Whitman.
It's kind of like a superhero guy, but also medieval.
You just don't want to devalue yours, JD.
Yeah, I've never seen that one before.
Leave my Speed comics alone.
Every story complete.
It is.
That number 8 looks upside down.
Jim Shooter must have
Yeah, it does look upside down.
Target. This was a wacky, pretty cool looking cover, I'd have to say. From his eyes shooting those beams, that's pretty awesome.
Who did that target?
I don't.
That's
Jeff.
I don't know who did that one.
That's a ridiculous shiny cover. Look at that shirt. It's like Neil Diamond fucking going crazy. I'm sorry, Stan. Neil Diamond just lost it on somebody.
That's the cool thing about doing these spinner talks. You know, you always run into things that stump us.
That's a tough look. And the space.
Oh,
on
that's the first appearance of Neil Diamond. All right.
I love this one. That one's awesome.
Yeah, weird
The
cover.
mummy. Oh, Paul, look at you. You're double down on this one. You got a pre-code horror, a good-looking woman, and a mummy. Who with a
You
gun?
got one of these, Jeff?
Not that one, but I have I have a couple cool weird comics, but not this issue. Like the
I
first
remember a few
standing.
years ago, you showed me a big pile of stuff like this, and I was like pretty jealous.
Isn't that another Fox book, right?
That is right. Yeah. Well, here we go again. If we're going to the comic shop tomorrow and we're going to buy that, we're going to get mad at that. He's wasting all the damn toilet paper. Next.
Early Zip.
You're not going to knock me on Zip. I love Zip. So
He's on a train, I guess.
Steel Turling is literally like immense in some covers, and in other covers he looks thinner than like the lackey in some books. It's so weird. Zip is so different every time.
And he's fighting biplanes. So it's
Yeah,
like-
They're on Hero cover too, right?
oh, yeah, here we go.
Passed by
Doozy.
this one. Nobody cares about this one.
All
This
right.
is a doozy of a timely right here. Probably in
I heard they got a new writer this time.
top 5, top 10. Well, they got a writer for the 2-page text story that only gave them a break on postage for shipping these out, and that would be the Stan Lee. And it's also an awesome cover because it's the first Schomburg cap and Red Skull on there and some awesome Babe.
Some sunburn dude.
Yeah, so good.
Second appearance of the Round Shield.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably, I don't know, maybe your
Number
second
2.
most valuable, probably your second most valuable cap, wouldn't you say, Jeff?
Oh yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Absolutely.
third most after that, you're going to just go early until you get to 75. It jumps, then you get the direct, well, not direct, but you get the middle, and then you get that Weird Tales one later on when it's the weird.
Say this, then number 2, then maybe 46, then
Some of the burning of the Holocaust.
Yeah,
or the
Holocaust. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those copies of late, so I don't know if it's kind of mellowed out on pricing for
I
that.
know there's one on
Connect?
recently on Comic Link. I think there's one. It's already going.
Yeah, it's Comic Link featured spring auction has this.
Yeah, I saw one sell recently without a back cover, and it was not cheap. So
No,
it seems to be in demand. Yeah. Catman number 1. This is a good spec.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
But yeah, the,
Headlights are all over the place on that one.
really seems to be the new thing. So maybe you should pick up the any number 1s if they have those left at the newsstand.
Or Bondage. Bondage seems to be pretty into it right now.
Catman,
With headlights. Yeah.
strange. I'm not sure who did this cover.
Probably Charles Quinlan.
Yep.
This
Charles
one,
Quinlan.
I wanted to show this because to me this kind of looks like the guy aGe something Peters. Is that it? The
H.G.
Wonder
Peters.
Woman guy.
H for Pfeffer.
It looks like his art to me, which I didn't think he did.
Wonder Woman 1 through 19, or
But
20?
I don't think he did comics before Wonder Woman. I didn't think so.
Oh,
So
no.
if it is him.
What number is that, Paul? What famous fun
81.
37?
I'm not a huge. Anyone else not a huge H.G. Peters fan or a
I
fan?
absolutely love his
I like him.
Wonder Woman. I
So
love
Wonder
him.
Woman.
Absolutely
Yeah,
love
I'm not a fan either.
I'm a huge Irv Novick fan when it
I
comes to
love Irv Novick. Yeah.
Wonder Woman when he stepped in. That was great. And him and Pep, he did some great Pep work too.
Pfeffer was just so different than any other book. That's what made it. Pfeffer was recognizable by whether it was the first appearance of Giganta or just the way he drew anything with the circular motion was kind of like a Van Gogh meta comic, kind of like with the circular motion. So I give him a little credit for being different.
I like Peters. Those early Wonder Womans have a real distinct look to them, which I kind of like.
Recognizable.
Here's a nice fight one. Still there, not putting the Nazi swastika on there.
That could be Lou Fine for sure.
That was a Peter cover, by the way.
Okay. Good
Oh,
cover.
really? Awesome. Okay.
Wow, good call, Knights.
Catch, man.
That's cool. Yeah, I could have sworn I read that he didn't do comics before Wonder Woman, and that Marston, the creator,
He was credited as Harry Peter.
huh?
That's an even better name.
Well, we got a.
Yeah, right.
Then I run into that Nick Cardy issue. I have Nick Cardy's first book, but it's not Nick Cardy's first book. It's
Nick Viscardi.
Yeah, Nick Viscardi. But then I find out that Nick Cardy did another book earlier. So every time I go back to try the first appearance of my favorite artist, I always have to go back further. It's getting to be.
Look at the names in this thing: Shark Brody. You got the Legion of Satan, the Power Man, Chip Collins, K.O. Kirby. Can't read that one, and Spencer Steele. So
Now, I will say, I don't. When I talk about not slabbing a lot of my golden ages, because a lot of my fiction houses, I love just reading them. The Jumbos, I read them all. The fights are great. I don't read Wings as much, but there you go. I do read them. The Jumbos, they're great. The little stories inside are phenomenal.
oh, I love this one.
Yes, you're all over that.
Yeah, I passed on one of those recently. It was going, I forget who had it. It was like a 1.8 or 1.5 or something, but it's such a tough book to find. And yeah, I don't know. I've only seen like one available, and I passed on it. But it's a really cool.
Great. It's great.
Yeah. I think it's a Lou Fine cover.
Yeah,
He did most. Yeah, that's definitely
that
fun.
was fun.
Yeah.
Interesting early Pep.
Yep.
Right before, not too long after this, Archie came.
That might be.
I like the skull face chick in the back.
Yeah, what's she doing to Dusty?
Oh yeah, that is cool. I like that.
He's taking out Detective Boy.
And you got a box of fire.
She's trying to excite him and stab him at the same time.
Jeez.
And you see that? It says War, Sergeant Boyle, and then like what is that, a swear word?
I don't even have my glasses.
Yeah, right.
Funny. Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, I want one of these still.
Yeah,
but
I would buy that in 2 seconds. I'll buy that tomorrow in 2 seconds.
You can buy it in 2 seconds if you want to pick up the price.
Yeah.
It's just not good.
10 cents? Cover price?
They're all priced like, yeah, I don't want to sell this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just got to wait till this whatever Marvel universe does with the Submariner, and then wait till that's over, and
then go buy it. That's exactly what I do with a lot of them. Because I definitely want to get some more Human Torch early ones, like the regular issue. There's a few of them I wanted to read, and I did read on the Marvel Unlimited app, and some of the stuff inside of it is just ridiculous. So
there's a guy near here, and I texted Jeff about this guy. I was like, yeah, he's got a Submariner 1. I think I'm gonna try to go check it out, and blah blah. And I went down there. It was kind of a long drive, and us here in Seattle don't like driving too much because the traffic sucks. And the dude was just not. It was like, do you want to sell this or not? Like, he didn't even really want to meet up. It was so weird.
So
And
now's the
you're-
time for you. Traffic must be wonderful right now.
well, yeah, now, but Jeff was not surprised at all when I told him, like, this dude, like, I don't know what the heck.
Yeah, I tried to warn you. I was like, I'm just gonna give you a heads up, man. And I wasn't surprised it played out exactly that way. And I like this book, man, but people are asking some numbers are too high. I mean, it's not like picture weekly appearance or first appearance or even.
Well, let me ask you guys that who are into these World War II timelies, is this a big book because of the issue number, or is it because of the cover, or is it both?
Issue number and maybe a
Issue
little
number.
Okay.
I mean, it's the first, solo, like his big name on the cover, but it's really not, I wouldn't say
11's better than this. 11's better than this.
I mean,
issue
I
first.
like it. I just would rather have an earlier Marvel mystery.
I think it'd be much more reasonable without the spec at this point.
What's the one where he's holding up the alligator's mouth or that monster's mouth?
11, the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that one.
And I don't really feel like this is all that uncommon. Like, it kind of dried up recently. I guess people maybe are holding it until more movie stuff, because I used to see it more often, for sure. It's just a strange zip. Look at that monster over there. It's like a fire-breathing cobra head.
Yeah, Zip's got some weird-looking green monsters on their covers, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is what
I like,
man zips.
I like how he puts the clock there. Like, why put the clock there, too? I don't know.
So
Strange.
time. So time.
Looks like they got some drunk Lucha Libre guys in the back, too.
They run into each
House.
Okay, so this is we're into let's see, 1942. So this is right after Pearl Harbor. So DC finally starting to show a little love for
It
Patriot.
doesn't last long, everybody. Take a picture now.
This was interesting. Avison, Al Avison, did the cover for this. At this point, Kirby and Simon were gone. But I found it interesting because this one and I'll just skip ahead real quick. And that one came out in the same month, and they both look like books. Like they want the cover to.
There was like it was a 1 year period where a bunch of different publishers kind of did that thing.
Yeah,
there's Anarcho Dictator of Death too. The orange one.
That's true.
Yep, and they did like a I forget the publisher, but they did a couple of adaptations of actual books, and they made it look like the book.
Yeah.
That's one of those gimmicks that I might leave that on the rack if I was upset with the gimmick. I might go with
Kindly logo on there. Not too many have those. This is a pretty interesting cover. I usually don't like these covers too much, but I like the colors on this, and the black cover is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
Yeah, Four Favorites has got a lot of volumes and some killer cover art and some super rare books, and the interior stuff on those is really cool too. But that one's probably extremely tough to find.
Who has more
Super
volumes?
Super
Four
Mystery
Favorites?
awesome too, yeah.
Super Mystery. That's a lot.
Who has more? Airboy, Four Favorites, or Super Mystery?
Might be Airboy. Airboy had a ton.
Ton of volumes,
I probably and throw Shadow in there too. Shadow's got a lot.
Shadow leads the league. They got volume 13
Yeah.
before 1950. Yeah.
Does anything beat
I mean, never in the right order. So.
Classics beats everything, I would think.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This is they got rid of that other cover artist, and got McRoy. So these are excellent covers this run.
Hey, Halea comic. Hey, Halea.
Are you a fan, Jeff?
I like Master Comics and Captain Marvel Jr. is better than I liked Captain Marvel Adventures.
Yeah.
I would say that Master Comics, those are some of the best ones out there.
Mac
This is a
Redway, I did a
Great
spot on it.
timing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This one is hard to find and very expensive now.
The Destroyer, yeah.
It's got the
You got
Destroyer.
a Hitler cover, you got a torture, you got a bondage cover, you got
Yeah, you got Hitler, you got the Destroyer, you got a partial black cover, you've got crazy bondage going on, and it's got everything going for it.
Yeah, I think
I
like
passed-
6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
Anything after 6 and up, I think, are just
I think you're right.
And it spiked in the past, 4 or 5 years, because people started to talk more about Stan Lee, and the Destroyer's considered his first real character that he created. So it's kind of gotten even more crazy and crazy.
He's got to be one of the absolute coolest looking Golden Age heroes, honestly.
Yeah.
This was a kind of interesting cover.
Yeah.
42. This, I can't remember if this was Avison who did this, but there was a time right in 42 at right at the first like Japanese anti-Japanese covers after Pearl Harbor, where they had the most insane teeth, and this is kind of one of them. I mean, they drew them like really monsters. It was pretty.
Remember the triangle teeth, like
frightening.
fangs all the way across their mouth.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was in the Pepin stuff, and the Zip comics did a lot of that too.
Yeah, I think the Air Ace might take.
Air Ace, that was what I was saying.
Yeah.
That was, Al Gabriel cover.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shark cover.
This is 43, and what I consider maybe Schomburg's prime as far as Cap covers. This is amazing artwork, and it reminds me of like the Fleshel cartoons, kind of the day.
Yeah,
Superman cartoons.
That one was temporarily on my list of shark covers to get, but I don't really want to compete with timely Golden Age Cap collectors for a shark cover. So I just took it off the list because I'm not willing to spend timely Cap money on a shark cover like that. So it's off the list. But it's a cool cover. I like it.
You never know.
It's a Frogman cover too.
I've seen a lot more of these in the past 5 years than I used to.
The goal was every elephant cover, and I'm going to get it.
Here's another cool underwater cover.
That's Zolnowicz right there.
Pretty good.
That's Zolnowicz. Yep, that's Planet.
This is wild. This green guy is pretty wild.
Welcome to Fiction House and the aGe shops.
They had some really cool imagination on these covers.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like the sci-fi title. Everybody probably agree with me on that.
Planet it deserves its own category. Is what we've always.
Here you go, DS. I got you this cheaper shark cover.
It's a Schombi.
That is a Schomburg, and I have a copy right to my left here of that.
I'm working on a real life elephant cover.
I'll give you. Let me tell you something about my copy.
You ought to have this one.
I'm very careful with my books these days, meticulous, and I accidentally got a tape pull on this book when I was. That happens so rare these days because I'm so meticulous, but mistakes happen, eventually, and I got a tape pull on that. Right on the nose of that top shark too.
See that, Lewis? You're not alone. Lewis is a fan.
Well, maybe if you use the Mylar,
I don't even know how it happened because I don't keep the tape near the flap.
Did Knights just pull out Mylar?
I wouldn't put that book anywhere near Mylar.
You don't go near Mylar. You have to social distance yourself from Mylar itself.
Mylar, like if you watch the movie Saw, if there was a Saw movie for comic books, they would have them in one of those razor.
The 4mm ones, the 4mm Golden Age ones.
I would have to try to get out of the Mylar and it would slice it all up. That's what I think of when Mylar is Golden Age.
Here's another one from the next year, 44. I love this one. I'm really jealous of your copy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What do you think, Jeff?
Appreciate your jealousy.
Where did you buy one of these?
That's
JD, someone wants to say hi to the show before she goes to bed.
Miss Moira, how are you feeling, baby?
Hey.
Hold on.
Hi, Moira. How are you? Moira, our mascot here for a couple of months here, is doing well after her heart surgery.
Great.
We appreciate everybody who definitely helped us out at this time, and we appreciate everybody to keep her in our thoughts and prayers. A couple of flu bugs going around. Let's make sure Moira gets through this just fine. Thanks for being here.
I already have the flu.
Well, I know you had flu 1A last week, right? Yeah. Well, you would. Yeah.
I did.
Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
Better. Have a good one. And the first Archie of the set, MLJ. That's our first MLJ too, I think.
I don't. Well, didn't we have the? No, we had the
Shield.
We had the Shield. We had Shield and Dusty. I couldn't forget Dusty.
I don't really know too much about Archie, but this one.
We need Mr. Gretzky to tell us about these.
Yeah.
See, next is my category. I love Catman.
That's
Now
you.
this looks like Schomburg to me.
That's probably Quinlan still. Quinlan, I think, did all the covers up until LB Cole.
I think he did too.
Yeah, the wolf cover I think was LB's first, right? DS
28 through 32 is LB Cole.
28.
That looks so Schomburg though. What do you think, Jeff?
I don't know what.
Do any Catman?
I can't. Do you know what number it is?
Number 24.
Wine.
And then this is another example of why your Golden Age comics are worth so much, because they practically told you what to do with them when you're done reading them, is go recycle it.
Yep. And Comic Cavalcade is probably the reason for most of the. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, Tech 31 is saying it's Schomburg on that. Maybe on that Catman, is he saying? He's saying on the Catman.
That is that comic alone is probably the worst. And no offense to not the characters. I like the characters. The worst comic ever done with the Golden Age.
I hate that comic. I hate the title.
Comic Cavalcade.
Either. Like I need my heroes to be heroes. I don't need them on unicycles or swimming in a pond or
babysitting. I found a Batman was a babysitter.
From the Heritage Auction site themselves, Alex Schomburg, Japanese World War II bondage cover on that Catman.
Oh,
yeah. I knew it.
Hey, see the guy with the tie at the bottom? I think that's his signature underneath his arm there.
It looks like my bookie.
Let me.
He's not doing anything right now. Don't worry about it. Oh wait,
and that's a Charlie Biro.
That's Biro, right? Well,
really hanging cover.
That book really blew up and got super hot last year. I remember there were copies going for a lot.
The Hatchet cover, yeah.
But yeah, it's got a cool hanging cover, which you missed. If you look at it closely, those guys hanging in the back.
The whole back of it's all hangers, so
that's a nice one.
5 hangers. And we gotta throw in some elephants here and there.
Who did that one, JD?
I'm gonna have to look at what year is this?
This is 44.
It's Jungle. What number?
60 something. Gotta be. I can't. I make glasses. What did I put in?
63 or 53?
It's
it would be around that time if that's it would be in the 60s. 69 is Baker's first. The 69 Jumbo is Baker's first work. Oh, you found him?
Here we go. Another Schomburg. Speed.
That's a dueling cover.
That's Joe Doolin. See, we mentioned Joe Doolin. I knew it's too early for Kamen, and you could see the similarities between Baker. Can we show this? Very simply, you could see what I was talking about between the Kamen. Doolin was first, was working at Fox and Niagara, but then you had the Baker, Solardo, and Kamen run after this, where everybody was one of those three. And Bob Powell as well. I'm going to throw him in there. He did a lot of work with these guys. But this cover has been redone several times of the chain where they change roles, and there's been a man, they do this. And one of the things I was talking about with Alex, the comic hoarder, was often at times what Fiction did is they would have a Jungle on one. A couple of months later, they'd have almost a mirror copy of it for Jumbo, and then you'd get the pulp just before that. So just something different, where they would either gender reverse or reverse the characters, male, female, or they move the girl on one side.
Sometimes all they did was change the color.
Exactly. There are so many that are so similar. Like there's the one with Sheena doing this. It's the same pose on every one of it. It's like the 4 year of Sheena, but the insides are always different. Remember that.
Is it a gray tone cover, or does it just kind of look different?
No, there's just the paper they used.
I think that's the picture they used, because the image I'm looking at, it looks like just a straight.
Yeah, it's not drawn that way normally.
I think
that's way enhanced.
Someone might have put that in the wash for the wash cover.
Yeah, yeah.
We got Schomburg.
It's color touch.
Schomburgs.
Some Shelby, young allies. Oh,
it's a slight color touch, right? Like
yeah. That young allies has a lot of heat right now because of the
be awesome.
Torpedo. Yeah, the bondage and the torpedo. That's a classic cover. I mean, that's one of my favorite Bucky books. That's a very few young allies I like. That's the one that's
really good composition in this one. He's really
symmetric is
so confident artist at this point. Full. Yeah. And here we go. He's doing a lot for a bunch of different companies. And yeah, there's another one. And the next year, this is 45. But these, sometimes these are somewhat cheap. Sometimes you get unlucky because someone's just looking for them at the wrong time, and you compete. But here's another elephant. You got this one?
No, I've seen it, not in person. I've seen it on Anthony Snyder told me about it. He said he's got some of these, but Atomic.
So this is 46. Yeah, the Manhattan Project. So I thought that was interesting. The monster. We got Kirby doing his thing.
Yep. Simon. Don't forget Simon on that one.
Yep, Simon. Yep.
That looks like Simon's drawing on that
That's
one.
Simon's
Yeah,
cover. Kirby in the inside. That's Simon's cover.
Yeah, it's definitely a Simon cover.
And then here's a robot for you, DS.
Yeah, I'm only collecting Schomburg robots for the most part. It's not it's a little too cartoony for me, so I'm passing on it. But yeah, cool one.
Captain
To be
Free.
that discerning as a comic collector for DS to be that discerning.
Well, hey, if I had more money, I would buy all of them.
No, it's a compliment. It's a compliment to do that because if the
I would
elephant,
take that robot over this.
you have your style, I have mine. Collect what you love, like we say at the end of every show. Always collect what you love.
Here's an example of the heroes not really knowing what to do after the war ended. This
Lemonade stand.
So he's gonna charge some batteries for you, wander around backyards, and that wouldn't fly today.
Yeah. No.
This is pre OSHA, so he could electrocute a few kids. Nobody really.
Yeah, exactly. He never had it out. He wasn't really a good guy.
This I thought this was interesting because they mentioned the return to baseball. Because baseball was put on hold during the war, so people were excited to have their sports back. As we can attest, being stuck at home. I'm not even that huge of a sports fan, but it does blow that at least there's no talk of following any sports at all whatsoever, which kind of sucks.
One of the biggest impact is to the internet itself. I was on the phone today when Jeff and I was on the phone trying to set him up. I called the Internet Exchange. We have it here where Google and Netflix upload everything. I called them. I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "You're not going to understand. It's hard to explain, but it's really simple. Nobody's watching television right now. They're all streaming because people are sick of the news, don't want to watch anything on there. So all the cable companies are getting hit. There's no sports. Yep. So they're just streaming everything. And it's such a burden on this. And all these web meetings and everything else, the upgrades that the government is putting into this is ridiculous. But it's good thing is we get upgraded, I think, tomorrow afternoon. We jump up to
it's like plus you got the fact that like where I work, they've got 13,000 people in town and normally they have a dedicated line going into their workplace. Well, everybody's working from home now and using a VPN, so they're on public lines now.
Right. Yeah, we've been joking a lot. A lot of people aren't too bad with working from home, and people aren't going crazy or anything. But imagine if there was a nationwide internet down. People would lose it.
Well, it's like the
everybody with parents would everybody with their kids at home wouldn't know what to do.
Well, when they announced that they were closing the schools here for 4 weeks, someone posted the Walmart or the liquor stores are about to start looking like the Walmart toilet paper aisle because people realize they got to spend a month with their kids.
Yep.
And as far as the sports goes, someone said, I was sitting here on day 3 of no sports. There's this lady in my house. Turns out she's my wife. She seems nice.
Yeah. I put on the NHL website on their Twitter before I got banned. Not from NHL, from Twitter. It's been known to happen. But only for a few days. But the NHL, I put out there, they said, after this time they announced the announcement, the next one says, from the commissioner next on the line. And then I'm the next one, and it says, this is going to get, what did I say? This is going to make me go to divorce court. Thanks, guys. And I got like 3,000 likes on that one. Then I got that.
Here's one, Tigra. Another, is that like a new
No,
Rule
Tiger's been around, but Tiger's another Jungle Girl.
Introducing,
Yeah.
47.
I'd buy that because it's a new appearance. Oh, there she is.
That's classic
Yeah,
Rula cover.
That's Jack Kamen.
That's a low cut right there.
That's a beautiful cover, very expensive. That's Jack Kamen. I'm telling you, Fox publication right there. America's.
I like the scooter.
I'm a big fan of Blonde Phantom, so I'm not going to knock that.
I like that
Even though
scooter.
I still like Blonde Phantom, honey.
There's the Golden Girl. So
Yes.
she's us.
One of us. One of us. One of us.
This one I thought was interesting. It's is Cindy in? Is she in? I'll say she is. I mean, are they saying she's like what? I don't know, crazy or something? I'm not sure. Tell me the reference here.
I don't read Cindy, but I'm looking at her just fine.
This is 48. I mean, the notion of the teenager was actually a new thing. I'd say maybe 49, 50, 51. I was just reading about that, how that was a whole new market they've never had, was like selling things just to teenagers. But I think this may be a reflection of the start of that kind of culture.
She should pick up her room, though. She's a little big. Oh, there we go. More fight.
Tiger Girl.
That's her. Not Sheena. There's Sheena.
There's Sheena.
Sheena has very much a Vampirella style outfit, so it's a little different.
And that guy's arm is strategically placed.
And that is Matt. What number is that? That's
111.
That I think is Matt Baker on that cover.
Here's a pretty famous
Junior.
one. Junior.
Sean.
Rush.
Nice
Yeah.
book. I like the Zellas. I'm a big fan. So
Yeah.
Wing, there you go. That's
This
probably
one's pretty awesome. It's like the reverse, the guy is on the propeller in the bondage and
Yep.
she's coming in.
again. Ranger would be the gender reversed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think even at this time period of the late 40s, the girls started to be kind of more powerful. And then quickly thereafter, they got kind of vilified.
That was DS's fault.
As we'll see soon.
DH. We'll see soon what happens when pre-code horror comes in. Women, Rosie the Rivet, strong in power, cow puncher, headlights. That could be Baker.
There's a couple good cow punchers for sure when
No,
she's
look
on the
at
wagon wheel.
Johnson, right? Walter
Yeah.
Yep, that's Walter Johnson.
This looks like a Kirby-ish or Simon cover to me.
Yeah,
There
Simon,
wasn't
I
credited.
think that looks like Simon to me.
I think Simon was doing a lot more. See, Kirby was such a, constantly working. But Simon, when he did covers, I'm a big fan.
I mean, you look at those big blocks of black on the policeman's leg right by the 52 pages. That's very Kirby. But
Well, the hashing, maybe, yeah.
let's see. I just thought this was a weird title.
Well, we've heard of Little Lulu.
Little aspirin.
Now we have Little Aspirin. Huh? Oh, boy.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I was a flirt.
yeah, 49. And then what does he say? Are we going to let that cheap woman come between us?
Ooh. Where's the cheap woman on the cover? That's what we wanted to see.
There's the cheap woman right there.
There she is.
So,
The picture. I was too young for love. Slap. What does she wear? She loves her.
Exciting intimate secrets.
That's
Oh,
a pretty
it's
nice
Cow Puncher
one.
Part 2. It's the same thing reversed. Nice. She's got the same cleavage thing. Women Outlaws. This was a great run.
Yeah, I like that.
Women Outlaws and Cow Puncher is good. Up pictorial covers.
Oh, here we go. The bad girl.
I don't mind these. I think there's a future in these pictorial covers in the romance.
Yes.
Patsy Walker's will come back. One of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah, that's a good one. 1950. Sid Shores, I believe.
Yep, my favorite Sid Shores book. And I also say this could be first appearance of a Marvel Frankenstein, but it's not. But it's not. We have to go all the way later on.
I thought this was a cool dame on here.
The X-Men 40. Modern.
I like
comics?
this.
I like modern
Reminds me of the Spirit, the girl who was in the Spirit, that famous.
Yeah. Or Venus. Yeah.
This was a interest. I didn't even know EC did these kind of books, so
Yeah.
interesting.
The romance titles are kind of tougher to find usually.
Are they only early, or do they span the whole lifetime?
Oh no, I don't think it went very long.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think they were
It's earlier
moving
on.
early.
I think they did some romance and crime stuff early, and then they transitioned into like full-fledged horror. And then after horror, they did some more romance stuff again.
Well, that's probably the nicest Feltson cover for a woman.
Well, wasn't one of
The
the
only
first,
one that I've never seen her either choked, strangled, stabbed, or punched in the face.
one
So,
one of
Feltstein, so.
I think the romance stuff was early because one of the titles, it was originally Moon, a Girl, a Romance, and then it became Crypt of Terror or whatever.
Terror, yep.
Yeah, they did have
Twilight. Oh, see, the girls are starting to be naughty.
Well, scantily as Torchy.
Torchy.
The submarine one's great. When all the there it is, all the submarine. The
Periscope's pretty awesome.
Any Navy people on the.
Oh,
there we go.
Rig for red. There you go. Archie.
Archie.
More
I
headlight.
think that book's overrated, man.
yeah, I mean, I'd much rather have a really nice Baker or something.
I agree with you. I mean, I think for Archie collectors, I get it, but I think the prices shot way up there, and I don't think the book is worth what it's going for. It's cool off a little bit, I think.
It has, just like that one you saw with the hatchet. I think that cooled off quite a bit too. The crime does not pay.
Mm-hmm. This was cool. Cole, right?
No, that is the only.
Cole. Okay.
That's Basil Wolverton. I think that might be the only non-Cole Star Blue Bolt.
It's still cool.
Yeah, I was like, who is that? And then I saw the down in the lower left or lower right corner. I'm like, that's Wolverton.
I think that's 102 is Wolverton.
Bigger? How do I do
This is 109.
That's 109.
109. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I think that's the only one that's Wolverton.
I thought this was weird, like these superhero guys in like a Western, which is weird.
Cowboys and Aliens all over again. Nice book though. Really nice artwork of the horse. Look at the horse. I mean, wow, that's pretty good. I recently picked up some original artwork of John Buscema. On the back of it, he was practicing drawing horses and dogs. It's one of the coolest things. I wish I could get a frame where I might switch it out of a frame where it could be flipped over, just because to look at the practice sketching of Buscema doing horses and dogs and animals on the back. Just probably teaching some young kid, because this is in the 90s. He did it, very early 90s. What
do you think, Jeff? Should we invest in Western Golden Age comics?
You can invest in Avon comics. I don't know about Westerns, man. No. Westerns and Tarzan, jungle stuff.
But this one's pretty good.
That's my favorite for
Zeta
run.
Well, this is when here's something here. This book is a phenomenal book. When you talk about Frazetta Golden Age books, everybody knows this one and Thunder and some of the stuff, the earlier stuff. I consider this his best Golden Age or his most, I don't know. I don't know what is it?
I feel like he did better Ghost Rider ones in my opinion.
I'm not saying
it's the horse.
Frazetta's horse on this with that mane doing that is pretty incredible.
I mean,
that's what makes it for me is the horse.
For my money, the Frazetta, where it's at in the Golden Age, is the Famous Funnies run for me.
Famous Funnies, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
But there's certain covers of that Famous Funny. There she is. Jungle.
Here we go.
That's what we call a taillight cover, everybody.
That is a really cool mouth, though, on that lion. I have to say, it's pretty awesome.
You're not looking at the mouth.
But yes, taillights. Remember that, guys. You hear headlights.
I have a few of this run. That is probably Harold Raymond Kinsler did that cover.
Ever Raymond Kinsler?
Ever Raymond Kinsler, yeah, that would be his covers. Yeah. White Princess of the Jungle is it's a pretty interesting run.
It sounds like some kind of thing that they would call you on Twitter or something if you talk a certain way, or
White Princess of the Jungle,
Justice Warrior or something.
Yeah. I just picked up the number 2 of that run last week, or 2 weeks. I showed it last week, I think.
Tandra.
Yeah, it's actually I read it. It's not terrible at all.
So Comic Age Combat. This is what war is going to be like now that we have the nuclear bombs.
That's heating up a lot. Is the post World War II, what I call the Atom Age war books, the Korean War, more stuff. That's a genre that's really heating up right now.
I've been saying we should change the name. We have the power. Golden age should be from 38 to 45. 45 to 55 should be the atomic age, like it used to
Oh
be.
yeah,
My
absolutely.
ages
That's
are
what it
different.
was when I was growing up.
It was when I was growing up. You know, people just got lazy.
I mean,
We always called it.
Because now you got 50 different ones to say modern, but again, when I was younger, modern would be now copper.
Yeah,
Right?
and I mean another one that we used to use a lot back in the 80s and 90s that I don't hear anymore is the pre-hero.
Pre-hero collecting, which was that was still is probably the best of the bunch.
my age is different for the atomic age. I have it more around 47, 48. And then I like to think that we should change. I've been writing in my article that we should change the next age from modern at some point should be steel age, because it is with the death of the Man of Steel. And you can kick off from that with the steel age, which I think would be appropriate with the copper age, bronze age. You go to steel age. I mean, you can go chromium age too, because you get a lot of shiny stuff. But really, the Man of Steel's death kicks it.
I'm gonna stab you, Chad.
Paul, he's not that old. He wasn't on Titanic. Plus, if he was, we probably would see him.
You know, I did notice with
see him in a dress running up there. I could see him in a dress. Vodka Beach Party.
The Korean War covers. There's a lot of like shooting the enemy when they're down and stabbing them when they're down and all this. Like more so than I don't recall seeing that too much in the World War II stuff.
The Korean War covers were pretty brutal.
Has a lot of bayonet.
Look at Russ Heath. Most of these guys that are writing, drawing these at the time, were ex-combat soldiers in the Second World War themselves. Russ Heath, Joe Maneely, that were doing a lot of these Korean War covers that were like the gray tone covers, and everything. So maybe they had their own opinion on the war.
Heath and Kubert, man, they just did some.
Joe Kubert and Russ Heath. I always put Joe Maneely as like the third of the. Is that right, Paul? Since you did the thing,
he went too soon.
Maneely he could have been greater than Kirby. I mean, he was.
I know. So sad. Fell off a train. Very
I mean,
fell off a train or got hit by a train? I thought he got
fell out of it.
No, he was. The story is he was on a commuter train and he was going between two trains. Between two cars, and he slipped and fell underneath the train.
Right. And he was at dinner that night, and he got fired that night.
Yeah, he was at dinner with I forget the two artists.
Well, he was with hang on. He was working for Marvel. It was he was working for Atlas. It was Sid Shores, and
I thought it was Sid Shores was one of them.
Sid Shores was one, and the other one was I forget the other one. We'll have to look that up next time. We'll tell you.
I mean, for a while there were rumors that people said he was depressed and jumped between the train. I don't believe that. But
I've heard that story all the way up until recently, when if you ran into anybody at the cons back in the 90s and you asked, when you brought up the Golden Age stuff, and a lot of guys would talk. A lot of the artists, Big John, a lot of guys talked about Joe Maneely saying that. We learned to use the pencil by ourselves, but we didn't know how to figure out. But Joe Maneely never needed an eraser.
Yep.
Joe didn't need an eraser when he drew.
What I think happened is I think it was Sid Shores said that when they were at dinner, he had mentioned that he had lost his glasses, and when he was trying to go between the cars, the trains, there was no like safety measures or anything back then, and he just misstepped.
And they probably drank a lot back in the day, especially if you're hanging out with Bill Everett.
Yeah, Bill Everett had a lot to. That could have been the other guy.
Yeah, I think Everett may have been
Bill Everett, because Bill Everett and Joe Maneely were really good friends. Yeah.
So is this one worth anything? This pre-code-ish horror kind of?
Not old.
It looks like Zippy the Pinhead.
Beyond isn't the most in-demand title.
If I saw that in mid-grade for $50, I'd probably pass on it.
Wow. Okay. What about this one?
Nah, not really. I mean, the non-key Harvey ones are the high grades are killer because the colors really pop. So if you can find a high grade, and there's a lot of them out there.
And they did a lot of black covers too. So I mean,
yeah, and the colors really pop on a nice high grade, good copy of those Harveys. But if it's they don't go for that much. This one's a decent, probably one of the lower tier Blue Bolt Coals, but that still says it's a little L-bladed coal. Blue Bolt's still a good book. So that's a pretty solid book there. Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah, really nice. Early Mummy.
Yeah, and again with the Harvey stuff, if it's not a super big key like a Chamber 19 or 23 or something, there's so many of them out there and so many nice grades. It's very plentiful books that it's tough to. You can find them if you want to pick them up, but if you're trying to flip them or sell them, it's a tough market for those.
I've looked at that one because it's a Mummy cover and it's available relatively cheap.
Pretty cool detail all over the.
I actually consider this one because who did that? That's Lee Elias.
Davis or Leo? Oh, this one you're talking about.
This
Chamber?
one's Lee Elias, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably Elias. It has a circle on the bottom. He always circles his signature.
Looks like it.
It could be. Yeah, the only two. Yeah, well, I think it's Lee Elias because he did the vampire ones, and it's the same thing. It's always a body coming up and somebody coming down. That was a big thing with Chamber of Chills.
Yeah, I was working on a chamber run at one point, and I had all the big ones, and then I was picking up all the ones like this, and I lost interest really quick because these didn't do it for me, and I didn't really feel like spending money on these issues, so I just gave up the run and just kept some of the key ones, and even sold my 19 recently. So, but yeah, Pete makes a good point. The Harveys were tougher before the file copies. There were tons of file copies.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how valuable ECs would be without the Gaines file copies?
Right?
I mean, like,
Yeah.
that alone.
And the funny thing about the Gaines file copies, they're readily available at reasonable. I mean, I've got a couple of file.
Well, what
copies.
did he have? Like 15, 20 of each issue?
Yeah,
multiple,
I've got a
right?
few. I've got 3 or 4 Harvey. I've got some Harvey file copies and a few EC Harvey copies that weren't that expensive.
There's at least one. There might be 2, but there's at least one copy of Shock 6 and a 9.9. So, I mean, that tells you there's tons of high grades out there. If you got a 9.9 of Shock 6 out there, there might even be 2.
I think
Interesting pulp
he-
cover.
yeah, this the Ziff Davis one you're talking about.
Well, this I just feel like there aren't too many kind of painted-ish covers like this.
Yeah, they're all books.
It just looks very pulp to me. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite that I want to get is that Amazing Adventures 4, that robot sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I get the.
I love this
Wait.
cover.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, DS, did you check Heritage Preview for that?
For the Amazing Adventures?
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day at work. The other day.
I'll see
The
it.
last time I was at work was a couple of weeks ago. So
Who's this artist?
probably Jack Davis.
Yeah, it's Jack Davis.
Yeah, Jack
The detail is amazing.
Yeah, that's Jack Davis. I mean, check out. Oh, there's LB Cole.
That'll be cool.
But you got to look at Jack Davis. If you look at yeah, I know it's an elephant cover, but just in general, 32 is just a ridiculous Tales from the Crypt.
It is. It's a cool cover.
And if anybody's watching this or in the chat and wants to get into Golden Age, wants some LB Cole stuff, the Jungle titles that he did, it's one title, but they changed the name a couple times and continue the numbering. But these Jungle issues are affordable for what they are. I think they're pretty much the most affordable LB Cole stuff out there, and they're really rock solid in hand.
And
Yeah.
I have read them, and they're pure trash.
And the interiors are trash.
No, the interior artwork's phenomenal. It's
Okay.
if you try to read the storyline, you're thinking, all right, that's just not even. They didn't even get the right. They changed the name halfway through. You know, there's no editing. It's just enjoy the art. You know.
The colors, though, are so
Publishing.
awesome.
Star Publishing was known for that, and it's not a knock on LB Cole. He realized the art was what was selling, what people were buying. They weren't really buying.
First owned publisher long before McFarlane started Image, right there, Star Publications.
That's what he said. First independent.
And you know, I want this like you can almost feel the velvet, the black velvet on this as a poster for black light for like the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
big book that was put out with LB Cole cover art, and it's called The Black Light Art of LB.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people can see that about his art, that it would make great black light posters.
Amazing.
You should also be careful when you're collecting LB Cole with Star Publications because they were reprinted a lot too. And so you got to make sure it says Star Publications in the circle because there was a Canadian versions too that used the same very similar circle, and you can get kind of tripped up on that.
Yeah, the accepted publications.
Yeah, accepted.
And they purposefully made their emblem a circle with the words around it so it looks like Star.
Oh man,
I remember that.
this is a great cover, war cover.
War, yeah, that's. Oh, there we go.
52.
Now, yep.
See, I don't know if Gaines had a lot of early annuals in his copies, file copies, because I don't think there's a Terror Tales Annual 1. And so there might be a couple he missed, but
and that would make sense though, because those are much tougher to find than the regular runs.
We got a weird world. I don't know. Here's another Cole, right?
That's probably Cole, yeah.
Yeah, that's LD Cole. That's a pretty popular one. That's like Poor Man's Thrilling 49. He did another one that's much more popular, Thrilling Crime, number 49. It's a greenish color. This is like a version of that.
Here's a wacky Ghost Rider.
Is that Dick Ayers going nuts or what?
I think that one was an Ayers.
That's Dick Ayers, but the devil. Yeah, that's the dare. That's actually a pretty. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
The whip is pretty cool.
Ayers, they call that the Dick Ayers devil cover on. So I don't know. One guy in the boards was talking about this book that it's harder to get in a higher grade than you think. So we were talking about those books. Oh, it's Baker.
She says yes.
No, she didn't.
Oh, here's a good one.
That comes up later on.
Also in my list.
We're a year away from what happens to her next.
Is this Cole?
Yeah, that's cool. Spook ran from the
Oh, mommy.
that say Spook on him ran from number 22 to 29, and or 22 to 30, and 22 through 29 are full covers, and 30 is I can't remember who else did most of the interior art for him. I can't remember.
You know.
You missed the second half of what happened to Chuck Connors as well.
he's like stuck in the tree, man. Help me out.
Dude, you're Tarzan. You could swing for the get down. I love this. This
That's a
run
good title.
season is getting popular again. I think you could get these still pretty cheap though.
Well, that is a good title. I'll tell you, the rarest PCH book in existence is in this title, and it's issue number 3. It's a freaking ghost of all ghosts. It puts any other book to shame, and it's like you never find it ever.
Is that vampire cover one or bat coming out of the coffin or something, right?
Coffin with like the purple and the black background.
Yeah, it's a really tough
one
one.
restored copy that's been floating around. I think it's on eBay right now. It's like a 1/8 restored. I mean, that's the one I've ever seen really for sale.
Yeah, and doesn't Ditko has a cover in here, right? Like underwater. That's like amazing.
Yeah,
Ditko, and it was very big for Ditko, and there's actually, as a Doctor Strange fan, in the artwork in one of these, I have to find it where this Magazine Haunted, there's almost a Caecilius is almost literally, it's Caecilius. It's got the hair coming out the sides just like him, and he's got the same pose like he would have. And he was throwing lightning from his hands at somebody. I forget which one it was, but I'll have to find that.
Yeah, there's a Ditko one underwater cover, pretty crazy, and that one's pretty tough to find. And it's weird because it sometimes goes for a ton of money. I don't quite understand it. I don't know. I don't see it when I see that book. I don't see that value, but it goes for a lot, and I don't understand it. But it's a pretty sought after one apparently.
And I think this is a kryptonite noose.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, it's got some. It's got the glow, as they say from the
Oh yeah, show enough glow.
Who's the master now?
Show enough.
Spanish Lodo Mofo. This inside of Harlem.
That's for
Here
Bruce
we go.
Leroy.
Of Harlem.
Oh God, we are all old.
Kidding. The only reason I'm upset about MegaCon is because I see him at Planet Comic Con and he's hysterical to hang out with. There's LB Cole.
LB Cole. Look at this. This has some crazy words on this thing.
Read it.
You're crying. You're dying in style. GOO. Okay. I'm tattooing USA right through your explanation, whatever, curse word heart. Pretty crazy. What
Yeah, I didn't never seen that cover.
Yeah, you don't see that. Mom's going through this.
Yeah, that's a Farrell book. I mean, there's some funky war titles out there, and Farrell has all their stuff's funky. All the Ajax Farrell stuff is funky.
Ajax Farrell, the problem with them, and I don't know, Jeff, maybe you want to agree because we talk about this a few times on here. The problem with Ajax Farrell is those books are made of tissue paper.
Yeah.
They're so bad. I mean, I have a few, and I'm like, this is getting to be annoying. I mean,
I
not
think didn't Wood do some interiors for them? I thought
Walter Wood.
Wally Wood or
I always use the real name, Walter Wood. It's Wally Wood, but I would say Walter because that's what he preferred. I heard that from Howard Chaykin, by the way. He preferred to be called Walter. But then again, Wally Wood's later on career, nobody knew what he was doing. So,
Are you guys into war? Getting into war much? Like,
Uh,
hot on that right now? Like Atlas War.
yeah, I
I've been
think those are, we did a show on that not that long ago where we talked about that. That's Atlas War books are probably an undervalued, underappreciated works of the military genre with the best artists in the military genre all working together at the same time. Your battle actions, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think it's just going to be one of those things that Atlas might get a little bump eventually, but
It's a good entry way to get into Golden Age. I
Yep.
think it's the war and still get good art, good stories.
I mean, there's some that I really like, and it's really hard to find them. So, I mean, I had to keep my eyes out, but
I've
yeah,
always been a fan of the DC Big Five, but I've definitely been branching out.
these,
Web of Mystery, Battlefront. There you go.
yeah, I like this.
yeah,
No.
this is that's your Heath or Manili or who?
Craftsmanship is
That-
awesome.
I
Paul
looks kind
Bill
of like he,
Bill Everett
looks-
there? Yeah,
Mhm. I don't think
I'm
so.
thinking maybe Heath.
Heath. All right,
It's got to be Heath or Manili with that much
I've
shadow.
got to get down to that science. I should.
Number 20.
We need to find a military guy who can tell us the difference between, like, on impact, Heath, Manili, and Kubert, because those three I get confused of right during that time frame. 51, 52 Atlas war books. I look at them and I'm like, I don't know. It could be.
Well, Jeff, what would you say of the Korea War comic covers? What company like provides the most books that people collect?
That's a specific question.
For the older guys, that's nice for you.
Would you
Korean
say,
covers are most collected by collectors for Atlas for 50s war. Oh man, I don't know, man. That's a tough
Like
one.
Atlas?
I mean, look, I think for war stuff, it's still collected. I mean, obviously, if you're completist, you're completist, but mostly it's collected by whatever's happening on the cover. So usually it's extreme violence, flamethrowers,
Yeah.
you know, that type of stuff.
Great tone covers.
So
If they like
Great
war,
tones, yeah,
they'll
great
buy
tones
it
are
from.
big.
Great
So if they
tones are
like war,
probably,
they'll buy it from any company. Yeah, they don't care.
You know,
I've noticed, and I agree with what Jeff said. I think the two categories for cover art on these Atom Age war books are the ultra violent. I mean, like the flamethrowers, the bayonets. There's a brass knuckle knife ones. Those are cool. And then the other ones that are hot are sort of like the really emotional ones. And
yeah,
like, you know, guys trudging through the snow, or like it's pouring, they're standing there, and or writing the letter home. That Foxtrot one.
yeah.
That Kirby tie-in, obviously, but the real emotional ones or the real violent ones, I think those are the ones that are big hot.
one of the things in collecting for years, and I've noticed more recently, is the gray tone covers popularity in the last 3 years, maybe 2.5, 3 years, but especially on the CGC boards in the last 3 years, because I always say CGC boards are usually ahead of the game. Have gone up so much in value where you were buying books for 100 and now you see the same book slabbed at, all of a sudden it's slabbed and it's $600, $700, $800 and it's easily being sold. The gray tones, the really good ones in high grade, they're hard to find in high grade because they're usually dark covers.
Here, 54 timely Atlas Marvel, whatever you want to call it. Our briefly got
Rogers,
back.
the other guy.
They tried to get their heroes back going, and it lasted like half a year, maybe.
Was that Steve Rogers Captain America or the other guy?
The other guy.
The other guy. I'd like to get one of these books to check it out and see what it actually says on the inside.
Every time I don't see an A on it, I always assume it's that way.
Well, there's an A. It's just a wacky A. Yeah. This is a great one.
I'd pass on that.
That's the only chamber I've kept from my run that I was working on.
Is that your favorite chamber?
That's the only Chamber Chills book I have right now. It's my favorite one. I like it better than 19, and it's just I don't know. It's one of the best PCH covers of all time, in my opinion.
Here's one of my favorite Rosettas.
Yep. I need the Buck Rogers, the famous funnies. Here we go with Rosetta now.
I love it.
That's one of my least favorite famous funnies.
Really?
For Frazetta. On
Yeah.
that one. But I
I
love
think
it.
it's just strange.
I got
Yeah.
something funny today.
Weird.
Bad Frazetta is better than most of them.
Jeff, did you see that? Jeff, did you see that 213 that sold on the Heritage auction at like 7.0, 7.5?
You told me about it, I think. I saw it. I didn't watch the
That's
close.
one, and a lot of collectors apparently do. I was thinking it would go around like the 4,000 range. That thing went over $9,000 for a 7.5.
Wow.
That's not right. I'm sorry.
It was definitely high.
Man. Hey, but everybody collect what you want to collect. But man, 9K, I would never, ever would have pegged 9K on that book.
For what number?
213. I think among people who are after the Frazetta Famous Funnies, 213 is like the consensus number one. It's definitely my favorite, and I think I'm not alone. And
that was with the guy on the spaceship out in space, right? He's out of the ship, right?
No, 213 is the one with the creature coming halfway
up
to the ship.
In the shadow silhouette. Yeah, that one's amazing.
one.
That one and the octopus one are my two favorites.
Oh, the tentacle one. Yeah.
215 or something.
Yep. Very actually 215
Simon
is one of
Kirby.
those that I've seen more recently, and I don't know if you was it Comic Link or Comic Connect 2 auctions ago had one that was I think a 7 or 7.5, and it went for a lot lower than I thought it would, but that was probably because of the nature of the auction itself. But
Who is this? Jack Davis?
EC
Graham Ingles.
Graham Ingles at this point. Yeah, it's what year are we? 54, 55?
54.
It's got that Graham Ingles wispy quality to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see the
Wispy, gothic.
door? Yeah, the trees in the background. He's in a dark place still.
You know, Bernie Wrightson, the young Bernie Wrightson was drooling over this.
Wrightson always in one of his books and one of the interviews that they did with him, and one of the things I researched about him, I talked to him a few times as well, but one of the things that he mentions, or one of the things that they mentioned, was his love for Frazetta was well known, and he documents that in a letter he wrote to Creepy or Eerie Warren Publishing, whatever, Warren, to Jim Warren, and they published it, and he drew a picture of what he drew, and he mentions that Graham Ingles and Frazetta are his two biggest influences. So nice, kudos to you.
Here's another.
Wait, shark cover there. There you go.
Just
but you have
drop
this,
them,
right?
Just drop them.
I don't have it, and I don't plan on getting it, but it is a shark cover. I've cut my shark cover list way down. You'd be amazed when I started making the list of shark covers how long it is. There's far.
Yeah, I did it too for elephant.
Making here's
I'm into the 200. Every time you think you get
Has to
I like
be,
that.
right?
That's Baker.
Oh yeah, that's Baker.
That's
That's a common one. I've had that one like probably 5 times now.
Yeah,
Good legs.
that's probably Rick's favorite. Well, he's wearing green panties this time. Hang on, go back to. That's actually I'm going to say this, of all of the late Marvel that everybody thinks is Drek, this is the best one.
This
It's
cover
got
just title.
This title of the late ones, the ones with the only not Cap, it's not Human Torch, the later Submariners.
Oh yeah, Everett.
Means so much more to the history of the comic, because these stories lead directly into his first appearance with the Fantastic Four again. There's not much separation. He's been doing this for a while, and he mentions what he did with the Russians in the war.
And Bill Everett's really in his stride. I don't think he did this cover, but he there's an earlier one where he's like separating the like air hose from one of the.
He's really built and muscular in that one.
That one's so good.
Anytime.
Yeah, I think I did that in one of my spotlights.
Ugh, this book.
I assume this is a huge one, right?
It's a copy of White Heat. So
Okay.
do you want to explain that, DS? White Heat versus Tomb of Terror? Or
The White Heat versus this one?
yeah, why it's pretty much just not an homage, but there's a poor man's.
Well, I'll tell you, the interesting thing is that there's not a consensus of who did the cover for Black Cat 50. A lot of people think it's Lee Elias, but there's other people that think it's Warren Kramer. And I don't think there's a definitive answer on that. Most people go off of the CDC label, which says Lee Elias. This is without a doubt Lee Elias.
Right.
I have had both of these before at the same time and compared the two, and I looked very closely for a long time at them, and I think Lee Elias did do both based on some of the art styles, especially on the hair and the clothing, and some of like the flesh falling apart. So
of some of Kramer's work, he used a very broad stroke, so
they're very similar. It's hard to tell.
It is, because there's two different things on White Heat. You got this part where the face is blown off, but then you have the actual other part of just the background part to the right, which is very broad stroke, which could be worn, but you never know. But I agree with you; it could be either one.
Yeah, those are both big PCH grails. Obviously, they're iconic. They're plentiful in the realm of PCH. There's a lot of them out there, so there's not a mad scramble to get them lately, and the prices have sort of dipped. But I had both of them, and it's sort of the challenge of getting them, and then the excitement faded once I had them, and I was able to turn a profit on both. And they're good books, but for me, they were just like, it was the challenge of getting them, and I wanted to have those books. So once I had them and enjoyed them for a while, then I passed them on. I haven't regretted moving them, but definitely cool books.
I can
Is it
relate
one
to
of the
this.
early zombie?
Sorry, Mike. I stepped on you.
I was just wondering if it was the early zombie one. That's all. But go ahead. You had something to say about this guy?
Yeah, I was saying I can relate to, no, not that one, the next one, the one you had.
Oh,
I can just relate to that cover. Like, it just reminds me of those flashlights for the military they sell online late hours. You know, you can drive over them with your vehicle or freeze them in a block of ice. Like, if you've ever looked at those things, this is how you would react straight on. They're so powerfully bright. That's what I mean when I look at this thing.
I kind of always want one when I see that.
I bought one, man. It kills the battery. You go through batteries so quickly. Is the thing I don't tell you.
That is Russ Heath, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, but all those lights. Remember we did, I think we discussed it, where Russ Heath kind of did this thing where light would dominate his like the light dominates, and then it's always a separate. I don't know.
Yeah,
use
of light. He uses something I call the impossible light source a lot.
Right,
he just creates a light source out of nowhere just to create this type of shading and shadow that he wants. And it doesn't have to actually be a light source. Sometimes it comes out of a grave or just from the wall, but there's no actual light there. It's like an impossible light source. This does not strike me as a Russ Heath, but I could be wrong. This looks.
I bet this is a really nice looking and high grade, I would imagine.
Yeah. Speaking of a book that's never going to be high grade, this one.
Jesus.
Welcome to aGe Farrell.
This is a weird cover, man. But
is that supposed to be like real heads, shrunken heads?
Yeah, that cufflinks, man.
Okay.
There's surprisingly a lot of charm bracelet heads on aGe Farrell books. Really, it's not an unusual theme for aGe Farrell.
If you look at
If you can find one of these in a 5.0 to 6.0, you're way near the top of the census. Other than that 1.9.0 out there that somebody has locked away. But
yeah, these are really hard to. Yeah.
I think the aGe Farrell people were doing a lot of acid.
Well, so was Marvel. Yeah.
Here we go.
All uncredited cover art too. There's no credits on the cover art for any of those books. It's just aGe Shop or whoever. I don't know. But
Aces High, I liked it. I liked it. I always liked them. I don't know for some reason.
The art is awesome.
That was
It
my
is.
last.
We don't know who did it, but it's good.
Yeah, it's George Evans. My
This is
last.
the last year.
Oh, George Evans?
Yep, my last artist spotlight was George Evans. He did all the Aces High covers.
See, George Evans, one of my favorite Bronze Age artists, covers for DC. Did the Weird War stories all the time and did a bunch of other books.
Yep.
Very
I think he was like the
the-
forgotten EC guy. He did a lot of covers, and everybody always talks about everybody else.
everybody else,
It's like George Tuska in Marvel. They
Yeah.
don't talk about Tuska that much, and I'm like, he's just as good as everybody else. He's in between. Literally, he's Kirby to Buscema in Avengers. You
This
know?
one's like
said he was the best. So
she's going, whoa! Do you see that thing in the upper right corner? That's the comic code.
yeah, settle down there. These are not just lights.
Impact, yeah.
Yeah, I love the like last gasp of EC titles that they're just like, oh god, what can we do to try
Incredible science fiction is one of my favorites. that they did of this era, of this postcode
They did.
incredible science fiction.
They did
the
Impact,
last-
they did MD, they did Psychoanalysis.
It's a great artwork, though,
Didn't they
man.
do those
It's
pictograms?
usually Jack Davis. It's usually Jack Davis.
That was Jack Davis.
Yeah, 90% of them are Jack Davis. So
now, Subby, with the code,
they'll
instead
ever
of,
sure because of the
instead
muffin.
of killing the guys, he's like, just move your boat over here. It's all right.
I'm about the cabin.
Classic.
That's for there he is.
Amazing.
This
That's
is
probably
Wright-
my favorite for that one.
Wrightson made this was the story about this book with Wrightson, because this is the book, in my opinion, perfect setup. This is my favorite.
Over his magazine stuff, or just in both included?
No, just this magazine. I have a passion for so many Warren public. I have them all. I collect Warren like it's religious. I mean, I'm trying to get every Frazetta cover of Warren. I think I'm almost there. Thanks to on the CGC boards, I'm always there. Every time Robert Downing puts out any of the when he does all this creepy and Warren runs, I'm usually the buyer of like 10 or 12 of them, and he's like, all right, I know where I'm sending these to, and I got him. Like I got Steranko to sign his only one. I like to do that stuff. This one here, this incredible science fiction, is Wrightson. If you ever look at any of the Swamp Things, or if
Weird.
you tilt it, it's very Wrightson-esque. Even look at the Batmans he did. Look at everything Wrightson did was based on people pulling somebody down, and it stems from this book. He loved this book. He said it was just that is my opinion. It's my favorite Frazetta book, and it's the biggest influence on Bernie's career.
Now, March must have been the transition month between the code, because if you could see, this is in March
55.
and it's June, and there's no code, and here's another June with a code.
Yeah, and I was going to say what Heated Comic Monster says in the chat here, that Weird Science 29, that was originally drawn as a Buck Rogers cover.
That's right,
But because of the code, I think they didn't want to do it, so he redid it as a non-Buck Rogers, and they put it
They
on there.
took the helmet out. Yeah.
That's a good book. That's a really tough book to find in a rock solid grade. I feel like 7.0 or higher. It seems really tough to find because all that black.
And did you see Stray Flexen's post on Instagram where he saw the original art of this?
Yeah, he
Oh,
saw
man.
that with Thunder and
That's got to be a lot of money.
ASM 129, I think, right? He said.
Well,
Yeah, I think it was the ASM 129.
The
Or
cover
did
for
you,
that?
no, you showed the ASM 129 art, didn't you, JD?
I showed a photocopy of
Yeah.
what somebody had. Yeah, not the actual one, but a photocopy.
How
But-
much do you think this cover would sell for?
well, we should probably discuss that. Something of all the covers of original art of Frazetta,
This
That
has
are-
got
this has got to be the one. It's this
For
the
comic.
Ghost Rider we saw earlier. Absolutely has to be the Ghost Rider we saw earlier, and the famous funnies, one of the Buck Rogers ones, probably number, I don't know, probably the second or third one he did when he kind of figured it out. The Thunder. The only issue I have with the value of a comic, and this is just a little real Golden Age original art collecting thing I've discussed with both Anthony Sider and Ramita Man. And by the way, there she is. Hang on. There's Naoka. That's Farrell Publishing. There's your Fawcett. Your last book's a Fawcett. But
Here, let me do the last two, and then we can get off of this screen, and
Yep.
you can talk more about. So
see that one book. Baker.
this is, they have the kissing back to something the parents can be okay with the code. So and then
Naoka.
elephant. That's a cool cover. That
Well,
composition.
it's actually swiped, and from a photo, they copy this with a photo, and they went to the Museum of Natural History for the gorilla, and they put the gorilla there, and they put a picture of a poster of an elephant behind it, because the funny thing about Naoka is it's half done artwork, and the rest are a lot of them are photo covers.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw.
It's obviously it's in a studio or a shop that it's not in a jungle, because it's like this and the elephant's literally like tight, like not even moving, or the gorilla's like right behind her like this, and you can tell that he's just staring away, not even at her. But the artwork on this stuff is usually good. Most of the time, Bob Powell.
It's a good composition.
Yeah, this is probably Bob Powell, but it is. I like the Naoka is a good covers and everything else, and Fawcett does a good job with that.
So what do we think the OA for that would go for?
Yeah, what would that go
So
for?
let's go over the OA for Zeta in general. So the one thing about original art in there is we have to think outside the box of what Frazetta did. Frazetta's Death Watcher and everything that sold for $5 million transcends comics altogether. It's a piece of art that it's standalone, whether he was ever in a comic or not, was ever a cover art piece or anything, as a painting itself, it is immaculately good. And it's a 20 by 30 painting. The covers are just going to be your normal 20, your 13 by 19 golden ages, or sometimes they were 14, 20, and you never knew. But the thing about like the Thunder cover or this cover is you have to find a Frazetta fan. And you have to find a Frazetta fan with money, because unlike comic books, where we recognize that comic book fans will buy comic books, art is multiple people. You've got art collectors and you got art dealers, and then you got comic fans in this. What sells the most is popularity of the characters. So how popular is a character there? Not. Or Thunder, not. Change Thunder to Tarzan, you're talking it goes skyrockets.
Yeah, but if that original art piece was on a heritage auction, it would be
350 to 500,000 probably, but it won't. Don't expect it to hit the numbers that people think, because Frazetta's other thing sold for $5 million. Comic fans won't buy. They'll buy original art and spend the money on it, but who buys the $3 million piece of original art? The $4 million, $5 million are not comic guys.
That one would show up on Heritage in a comic auction. The other ones would show up in their fine art auction.
Correct. You have to understand the difference between original art is it's the subject matters so much. As much as the artist, I'm just saying, as much as the artist, like if Buscema, if Buscema is drawing just a horse out of nowhere, it sells for one, or a Conan just out of nowhere, but Conan's different. The Conan will sell more. But
I bet this guy's getting offers close to $1 million on this.
You think so?
I don't think $1 million for that. I wouldn't pay $1 million.
I'm along your line of thinking, JD, because I see. I mean, my initial number was 600,000, because I know Frazetta is different. He transcends comic art and also falls into the fine art area with his paintings, and I know they fetch a lot of money. Would $1 million shock me? Heck no. Realistically,
No.
I'm thinking more like 600K as well. But it's a cool piece. Like if you had 600K, any of us, is that where we would put it for Zeta Collector or not? Like,
yeah,
where I stand on the way. I wouldn't spend anything on it, because I like my art. I'm very shallow when it comes to it, but I wouldn't surprise me if that hit $1 million. I mean, a Frazetta OA of a classic cover, I wouldn't surprise me to hit $1 million on that.
I'm not saying
you would need two
people. I'm saying it's going to have a tougher time than you think, because the comic fans. You're right, DS, because you're not the only one who thinks like that. There are a lot of big time collectors, dealers, not Snyder and Mike Barkey and all those great guys that do the original art, and Felix and everything. I'm saying there's your normal comic guys are going to be like, I'm not going to mess around with that with big money.
I mean, this for 5.4.
But
million.
that was a 20 by 30 painting.
Yeah, that's what
I know.
That's recognized pieces too.
And
I think it's the same dude. The Frazetta collectors, I don't think he does anymore, but you had like the guitarist of Metallica. He used to collect Frazettas. Like,
he
bought
the Death Dealer. The cover of Death Dealer, one of the you remember the Frazetta Death Dealer run?
I wouldn't do that much for the best comic cover. This one.
Hang on.
One sold 552.
Right. But what is that titled?
I don't know.
Titled Buck Rogers.
Who the hell cares about Buck Rogers anymore?
Fine art collectors.
You'd be surprised.
Old people with money.
I don't know.
They're still alive. I mean, it's serious. I'm
good.
Collecting. One of the things about original art buying is, yes, you want to collect your artist you want and the subject. So a Marvel Spider-Man by Ditko is very expensive. Any Spider-Man there. Now take that Ditko, put him in Strange Tales, and make it a really cool and everything else. even though the Spider-Man might be later on, it might maybe be a key issue. The Doctor Strange, the Ditko work that could be inside that could be a Nick Fury story before Steranko took over or something like that won't sell as much for that because the popularity of the character. When you get to cover art, you're going to show that to somebody on the board in your house with you have a Thunder 7 or an incredible science fiction or whatever. They're going to say, who is that? Change Thunder to Tarzan, different story. Change that, put that on there, make a Frankenstein or a Dracula on there, different story. It's recognizable. People buy art to show it. They don't buy it to hoard it. They want to show something that someone's going to know or know by sight. And unless you're going to have a bunch of comic guys at your house for $1 million, I'm just saying it's just a little high for me for a book that doesn't have a recognizable character. It's my own opinion.
It's like anything. I tend to agree.
But I
I
do-
think probably that 600,000 range, but like anything else, that's just a guess. You get two people who really want it.
You never know. You get a Werewolf by Night sell for $50,000, 9.8, because it's got a cute little sticker on it that says it's a CBA. And in the same auction,
Don't get us started on that at 11:30 at night.
Well, I'm just saying, then you get a Hulk 181 that sold a 9.8 that sold for 30,000, 20,000 less than a Werewolf by Night. First appearance of Wolverine, first appearance of Moon Knight. The only difference between the two is a sticker on top. The character Moon Knight, I'm sorry, he's cool, but you really don't. None of those are good. Nothing Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, nobody liked. That's why it was dropped so many times. Mark Spector Moon Knight that came on in the 80s was probably the best written on the Bob Hall run and everything else when it was edited. But it should never, a Werewolf by Night should never outweigh a Hulk 181. There are plenty of both.
Are there plenty of both 9/8s? I don't.
Well, that's where you get into the trouble here. The 9.8 and the 70 to 75 versus the 75 to 79, the Bronze Age.
Because yeah, you're right. Because the numbers for Green Lantern 76, I don't know if there is a 9.8 or not, or there might be 198. It's incredibly ridiculous.
How's the Secret's 92? Also very.
Yeah.
Well,
But apples to apples, yeah, 90, 92, 94 without being crazy. Yeah, I mean,
same year. What makes it difficult is how many there are. And there aren't that many Werewolf by Night 9.8s, but there are more than 2, 3. As you compared to House of Secrets says 1, and I didn't even debate that one because apparently they showed pictures of it before. I'm like, you're generous or you're desperate, either way. But the one thing about the Bronze Age, and I'm going to do something on this eventually on the channel, is there was a great research done that 1970 0.2% are 9.8, and then it goes up slightly. It never breaks double digits. It stays at 7, and then in 76, bang, 22%. It goes, the paper shortage of the early 70s made them use that weaker paper, which made it very hard to maintain. And all those books, majority of subscriptions at that time were folded and shipped off to save space. Paper shortage included the envelopes. So instead of getting shipped in the big manila envelopes, they all got shipped, folded in half. Big thing about the Bronze Age is 9.8 Bronze Age books, 9.4s. If you find raws 9.4s, buy them. Don't matter the title, no matter the issue. I don't care if it's Strange Sports reissue from Jeff's book earlier, reissued in DC in 1973. If it's a 9.8, it's impossible to find. But put that a couple of years later, and there'd be a lot more of them. That's just I'm going to show you the numbers. I'm going to do it. I promise I'm going to do the Bronze.
Hashtag knowledge, man. Hashtag
research brings knowledge. So, well, everybody, that was the spin rack. That was a spinner rack in our longest show ever, but it kind of makes sense when I call it our 1-year anniversary show. I want to thank, of course, my guys. I want to do a personal thank you to everybody, Knights and DS and Paul and Jeff. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the Great Legend. I want to thank Straight Flex. I want to thank Comic Books NYC for making this year one of the best ones ever. This is my best year I've ever had in comics just because I bought a lot less. Well, and that's not true. She's asleep now. I can say it. That's not true. I definitely bought more, but more art and stuff. But I want to thank everybody for the past year. I want everybody to do their shout outs to everybody and whatever they want to say, what they got coming up and everything else. Of course, my buddy Mike is going to show number 3 and number 4.
I was gonna, just show 2 of the books. I usually don't have them when they're on the list, but
you got 2 on the list. Yeah,
it's 3 and
Is it 3 and what's the other one?
20,
Oh,
26.
the shark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, got
Golden
it. Yeah.
Awesome. All those books, that was just 2 weeks in March. So
Yeah.
Wow.
like Game Age is the best.
Yeah. We do it a weekly, and we actually keep up with it, Jeff. It doesn't go as long, but we do want to get everything involved. It's a fun show. I like
It's
it.
been awesome.
So let's start with Paul. Want to do anything before we sign out?
No, just I'm gearing up to do some more artist spotlight soon, and I've getting my studio set up for doing some painting. We're back
Very
to painting season. And
He's in Iowa. That means huffing paint season is very big in Iowa right now, I believe.
oh yeah, absolutely. Shut up.
It's Met season too.
And if I ever get out of the house again, I may buy some Golden Age books. You know.
Yeah. So Jeff, just to let you know, Paul and I frequent. We're in the same. We're about 4 hours apart from each other, and he comes over to my house for the birthdays stuff, and I owe him next time in Moira in October to go to her birthday out there. So, or we're gonna get together before then. So, all right, Knight, what do you got going on? You want to talk about anything? You want to that?
$1 million.
Okay, $1 million. I say 600,000, 5 to 600,000. Over.
We need to get that guy on the show.
Everybody, you can pick anything over. Oh, you can say overnights or below JD, or you can go in the middle or whatever right there.
Who's that guy with the art? Get him on here.
I have people.
I'm not betting. I already lost. I lost a big bet on the last placed item that I.
Yeah, but you're the only one you're the only one who got the mask 1 and 2 right.
Yeah, and I lost a bet on the Suspense 3. I got creamed on that bet. I owe somebody dinner, so I'm not betting.
Very cool.
Anybody who stuck around, I'll give them a preview of a book I have on the way.
Yes.
That I'll have this week, and if you stuck around long enough, you deserve to see it. I got on the way. Really excited to get that. Got a big bronze book on the way too. So that's what I got coming up. 2 big books on the way, and this is one of them. So I'm really happy to get that.
Very good. Awesome. Thanks a lot. All right, Jeff. What'd you think of your first time on the show?
He's like, never again.
I'm out. No, this was a lot of fun, man. I got to say, time flew. It's been 2.5 hours, and boy, it was great chatting with you guys because you all have that passion and the knowledge, and it's just great getting into an online chat space where we can all just kind of geek out together and just share what we know and get a little from everybody. So especially the chat room here, I just figured out how to do that like 30 minutes ago, so I'm a little behind, but thank you everybody for joining us here, and I hope to be back soon. And if you want to catch me on Comic Town 101, I'm there too, doing whatever. And this is awesome. I'd love to show some books next time. I brought a bunch of books, but
sure,
got around.
Well, we'll do it.
Next time.
Next time you want to come on, like I said, an open invitation.
Thank you, man.
And my sign up, everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. But first, I want to thank you 4 and everybody else again for this great year. And now, everybody, just stay safe, be calm. Calm controls chaos. Chaos leads to disorder. We can control this ourselves. We're all strong enough people. If you're out there being leaders, lead by sacrifice, not by fear and self-pity. It's the smartest thing you can do. And I want to thank everybody again for this year. Thank you for being a friend. This has been Golden Guys. Chad, take us out with.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again.